Well, hello. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. That sign is not right on the background. That scrolling sign. Fail. I hope you all are doing well today. I would like to let you know that I officially have a new camera, which, ideally it looks better. But, you'll let me know one way or another, I'm sure. Ideally, definitely let me know. Honestly, if I look worse, that means the camera's better. That's how that works. Also, I finally decided to flip this lovely shindig around to make sure that, that works a little better, I think. Look at that. Figuring it out. Let's see. Let's see who's here, shall we? We shall. Ooh, yes, patches. Yup. We'll be talking about that in just a little bit here. Let's go. What's up, Petrified? Actually, let's do this. Let's go ahead and let's do our top 3 in the chat real fast. You all are awesome. You were here first, and yay! So let's do that. Here we go. Throne. Awesome sauce. Thank you so much for being in the first first 3 that are in here. Ricky Watson, you get yourself a lovely throne, and now it's a 2-seater. So I don't know who you want to put in the side seat, or maybe just yourself. Kick back. Petrified, congrats on having the rocking chair. Probably one of the more comfy chairs out of our list. And then finally, Jaded Wonder with the beautiful, lovely, one-of-a-kind beanbag chair, complete with plastic cover, because I don't know who was in it last. I can't remember anything at all. Let's see. So much to do. Hello, Ohio, Lisa. Ohio gozaimasu. Hello, Shireen. Hello, Advocate. Hi, Amy. Julie, hello. Hollyberry, hello. Gallimay, hello. Let's see here. What else I got? My favorite part about this camera. Hello, Amanda Davis. My favorite part about this lovely this camera is that I can fix it. I can fix the image as we go, and that therefore allowing my ADHD to be happy about video on top of audio too. So yay! Thanks. Thank you so much. I don't know about fancy, but I do want to make sure that you all have a decent show. So that's helpful. It is very helpful. Oh, you just started dancing and I stopped the music. Jeez, we can't have none of that, can we? Let's see. Dance party, dance party, dance party, dance party, dance party. See? Look, we had ourselves a dance party. That's important to me. It's important to me. I'm going to turn up the noise gate a little bit on this. Make sure you're not hearing my air conditioner because it's hotter than hell. Hey, Dusty. Hello, Andy Franco. Hello. Good to see you too. I agree. It is hysterical. Let's see what else. Let's see. If I miss you, I'm so sorry. Yes, Lovesack is indeed a brand, and it makes me want to sing Lovesack, baby, Lovesack. Shireen, but also Dean. Hello, sir. Good to see you. Yes, I heard that I heard that it was a really good time. I could not watch it because of that whole work being worky thing. But I did hear that it was awesome, and I look forward to trying to catch it. I look forward to trying to catch it soon. But everybody seemed to really enjoy that a lot. And Brandi had fun too. It's a nice break. It's a nice break. Nina Canadian, hello. I have almost hello. All these wonderful people. All these wonderful people. Hello, everybody. And I can say hello to you. 1 second. Hello. Hi, Wendy. Guess who's here? Hi, Alyssa. Let's see. Yes, it is Love Shack, but the brand of beanbag is Love Sack. So there's that. To let you all know, you're gonna see some new wrenches. You're gonna see some new wrenches in the chat because our first round of applications and interviews finished, and we welcomed some new mods, which I'm very excited about. And as soon as they get going full on, because with me, we have to add one extra thing, which is a little bit of training as well. I think it's helpful. I don't like to leave somebody like, okay, have fun. That's not always my thing. Plus, at one point I was the coordinator of training for a state. So, however, that being said, I have nothing to do with it. The entire process was run by bailiff/mod, and they were picked by them. And I just gave them 100% of it all in ownership, and I think they did a great job. And so that being said, I want to announce our new mods. First, I want to say thank you to our current mods. And by that, I mean the OGs. So let me just say thank you to the OGs. And that would be Pistol Annie, Amos, not a drama llama, Chandra, Cajun Kool-Aid, Dina Do 420, Shireen, Polly Prissy Pants. I'm looking at the Discord and trying to remember your username on YouTube, and that is having a moment. Who am I? Sam and the Advocate and Tish. Thank you all. Thank you all for working through all of the kinks and stuff. There's always some things to work out. But that's just the process of growth. And now the brand new mods. Turn on some music. I want to turn it down. I don't want it to be too loud now. We had that issue last time. I didn't forget what? Cajun Kool-Aid? Captain's new. So we've got hold on. We've got Law Nerd Amber, Amy for Justice, Angie Burr, Buffy Bot, True Crime Ranch, also known as Candace. We got Captain. We got City Kitty. Am I missing somebody? God, I hope I'm not missing somebody. We got Riri. Amy H5. Well, that's Amy for Justice. This was supposed to go a lot better. That was supposed to go a lot cleaner. I'm sorry, mods. Oh God, forgive me. Forgive me so much. To the new wrenches, cheers. Did I just? No, it was definitely a drum roll in my mouth. but that probably didn't sound well the second time either. True crime is indeed a favorite flavor of ranch. So yes, so welcome to you all. Yes, they are indeed the best. And so in light of the fact that I started late, I want to Amos. Yes, I bet you Amos does say that I am in trouble. Oh no. Yes, I stink. Everybody. We should be making it to Jodi's cross today, which I'm very excited about. We are going to be chatting with well, we're not chatting with anybody, but we're going to be finishing up her testimony about the actual unaliving, and then moving on into Juan as well. uh Teresa, you'd be amazingly surprised what broadcasting 5 days a week, twice a day, and sometimes on Sundays will require of a staff. And the amount of time that they spend is amazing. And if we can kind of take a little bit of that off their shoulders, I would love to do that. Now, listen, you're not going to see all of them in chat all at the same time because we do have roles and we do have a certain number that'll be in there, and they have alternate usernames that they'll use so that not as like a secret, but so that they, it's not full of wrenches, in the chat. So that being said, they won't all be on duty all at the same time, but we do need to make it so that our mods are able to also have a life, because at some points, some of them were working for both shifts, all shifts, and that's a lot. A lot. Just doing this night shift is a lot. So I want to make sure we just want to make sure that the schedule allows for them to be like, I want to do these ones, I can't do these ones, and if something comes up, they don't feel bad being like, hey, I can't be here, and I don't want them to feel bad either. So that being said, here we are. So I'm very excited about that. All right, so I have nothing new to talk about. At all. I know some things have been happening in the true crime trial world that I absolutely had no ability to check in on today because of work. So I can't speak to them. So I'm not going to make it up. And I regaled you on Monday with my stories that were not true crime based, but family based. And I kind of want to focus on the trial tonight because I want to get to the cross. So we're gonna keep it focused on the trial, and pop through with some brevity and some levity. So let me know if there's anything else you want to talk about. However, I heard something about this. I knew nothing of the case, actually. I know it sounds wild, but yeah. So I'll have to catch up on that. That's what I heard. Let's see here. What else real quick before we go? Oh yeah, that case. That one that I covered for that episode was frustrating. It was frustrating. Thanks for checking that out though. Thank you. Yes, Blevity. Blevity, absolutely. And no, he can't. And speaking of that, we're going to hop right into this because I think that that's what we need to do tonight. I'm calling it. And that is not where I need to be. Where do I need to be? Right here. That'll work. All right. Cool beans. Oh, here we go.
Okay. When you were interacting with Travis, when you were in the home, did you ever get any indication from him whether or not anyone else was in the home?
After we went in the bedroom, I think I asked if his roommates were home because it's an indication of how quiet or how loud we have to be.
Based on that, was it your understanding that you were the only two in the home, or were you of the understanding that his roommates might be home?
There was somebody else home, and I don't think all of his roommates were home.
Okay. So do you remember about what time you and Mr. Alexander went to sleep that morning?
Somewhere around 5:30, it was starting to just get light out a little bit.
Do you both, you said you slept in his bedroom, did you both sleep on his bed?
Yes.
Do you remember who woke up first?
I did.
Do you remember about what time of the day that was?
They're getting there.
I woke up around 12:30 and laid there for a while because he was still sleeping.
Also, let me know how the
So Mr. Alexander
difference
was
between
sleeping
my
in the
microphone
bed
and the
next
sound
to you,
is.
right?
Yes.
I
And your
apparently can't hear everything
bags
that you all
were
do.
in the home, right?
In the bedroom.
In the bedroom. Did you get up and grab a gun and shoot him?
No.
Did you grab a knife and stab him in the bed?
No.
What happened?
I laid there for a while
How
with
is this?
Napoleon, Travis sleeping,
Is this
snoring
better?
very lightly, and then he woke up around 1 o'clock, and we got up at that point.
Okay. You say that you got up. You mean Travis woke up?
Yes.
How long, if you could estimate for us, were you awake before Travis woke up?
It felt like 20 or 30 minutes.
Okay. Apart from laying there with Napoleon, did you do anything else in those 20 or 30 minutes?
Just laid there, awake.
Okay.
I think I went to the bathroom or something.
Okay. So based on what you're telling us, if you woke up about 12:30, Mr. Alexander would have woke up around 1 in the afternoon. Is that accurate?
Yes.
When he woke up, what did you and Mr. Alexander do?
Play
engaged in sex.
Parcheesi.
When you say you engaged in sex, did Mr. Alexander, when he woke up, did he express a desire to have sex with you?
Soon.
Yes. Not immediately. He got up, brushed his teeth, that kind of thing.
Okay. When you went to Mesa, did you have the expectation, or were you assuming that when you went there, that part of the activity would be to have sex with Travis?
Yes.
You might have.
Why did you have that impression?
Hold on.
Did you feel like it was something you were supposed to do? Is that the office to
Oh,
which you
we
were
did.
speaking?
Holy cow.
Why?
I'm sorry, everybody.
You liked your hair in braids.
You are
Your car
correct.
packed and you're ready to leave.
A little more tense.
Wow. Hold on.
Not working at that time. But they were still there, I assumed. And that I would get them for him. And I was going to apologize, and he had stood up, and the chair got pushed to the side, and he spun me around and bent me over the desk.
All right,
pressed
we're
up
going to
against
start
me.
here because
Let's talk about that a little bit. Showing you again what's been marked as Exhibit 40. Can you see this area here where my finger's pointing?
Yes,
Is that his chair?
yes,
Okay. So when you said, and I know there's various desks in his office, but when you said you went around his desk, were we talking about this item here?
yes, I was on the other side.
Okay. And you said he grabbed you.
Yes.
Where did he grab you?
On the upper arms, and he spun me around and then grabbed my right arm.
Okay, well, did he grab both your arms?
Yes,
Okay. At the time he grabbed both your arms, could you see his face?
yes,
Did you see anger in his eyes?
yeah, he looked pissed off.
Were you scared he was going to hit you?
I wasn't thinking of that. He'd only done that one time, so I was scared he was going to throw me or something like he'd done before.
So you say he grabbed your arm and spun you around, right?
Yes,
Spun you around where?
right on the desk.
Point to it.
We were standing right about here.
Okay. Now I want to clarify something because you said he had only hit you one time at that point. But earlier we heard about him smacking you in the face and him kicking you. Right?
Right.
When you say he only hit you one time, but then what are you referring to?
His hands.
Okay. His hand to your face, to your body, is that what you're saying?
To my body. He didn't hit me in the face.
Okay. Just in the side of the cheek, right?
Near the face.
Near the face. Okay. All right. So he grabs you, he has a hold of you in this area here. You said he grabs your arm, one of your arms, and spins you around?
He grabbed both of my arms, spun me around, and then grabbed my right arm and twisted it behind my back.
When you say behind your back, did it hurt?
I don't remember feeling pain.
Did you feel like you could have just walked away?
Not in that particular moment, no.
Why not?
He was leaning his whole body against me, and he was kind of heavy.
And he was what?
Kind of heavy.
Did you say anything? Tell him to stop, knock it off?
No.
Why not?
I didn't want to make him even more pissed off. He was,
So objecting, your feeling at that time was objecting to what he was doing to you would have pissed him off further.
it was possible. Usually when I went along with what he did, he would settle down faster.
Going along with what he did, what he wanted to do, calmed him down? Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, that or groveling or something.
Okay,
He would get less angry quicker.
okay. Well, based on what he did, I guess we can define what he wanted to do. What did he do when he had your arm behind your back?
He pressed his groin up against my butt.
Were you facing in the direction of this desk or against the desk in the back wall when he did this?
I was facing the first way he pointed.
Okay. You were facing the desk.
Yeah, I was bent over the other side of the desk facing that way.
Okay. So you were bent over this side of the desk, right?
Yes,
Okay. And you said his groin area was pressed up against your buttocks, right?
yes,
Were you wearing clothes?
yes,
Was he wearing clothes?
yes.
You mentioned that you were bent over this desk. How did that happen? Did he push you down or what? How did you get into that position?
Yeah, he had my right arm and bent me over.
Was he saying anything to you? Was he telling you to do a particular thing?
I don't recall him saying, I don't recall what he said, if he said anything.
Okay. So when you're in this position, what happens next?
Well, he kind of does a few thrusts briefly and then he starts pulling my pants down.
What was the first part of your answer?
He thrusted a few times and then started pulling my pants down.
Thrusted a few times.
Right.
What do you mean by thrusted?
He pressed his groin against me.
Okay. Against your buttocks.
Yes.
Based on that movement, did you believe that he wanted to have sex with you again?
Yes. I could feel that he had an erection.
Okay. At that point in time, did you want to have sex with Mr. Alexander?
Well, yeah, actually I did. It was better than him getting mad. I was actually relieved.
Check,
Relieved.
please.
And it was better than him being mad. What do you mean by that?
Because typically when he had sex,
2013.
it was his way
Time
of
to
de-stressing, to use his
2008.
term, and then he was calmed down after that.
What was, you said you were relieved to find out that he just wanted sex. In your mind, what was the more damning alternative? What was the more concerning alternative to just having sex?
I didn't want his anger to escalate to the levels that it had in the past.
What do you mean by levels it had in the past?
His temper, his outbursts,
By outbursts, do you mean physical outbursts?
physical or just screaming either.
So you submit to this sexual intercourse as an alternative to his wrath or anger, is that right?
Yep, I was
Um,
25.
That would be accurate, yes.
Okay. So after he thrusts against you, based on what you told us before, you don't say, no, don't do this, right?
No, I didn't object.
Okay. What did he then do?
We had sex again.
Did he remove your pants? Did you remove your pants?
He just got him down like just past my butt. I don't know. I didn't have like jeans or anything on.
Okay. Does he ejaculate?
Yes,
Where?
on my back. My lower back.
What's that?
On my lower back.
Stop! Oh, make it stop!
You mentioned him de-stressing through this process. Did that then relieve you to some degree, thinking that this was over?
What was over?
His anger?
Yes. I was very relieved. I felt like we avoided catastrophe.
Catastrophe being what?
Just it leading to another fight.
They both are. Both of the ladies
So your
that we're showing, both of the
mindset-
women, are his sisters.
On June 4th, 2008, was anything to avoid a fight. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, in that moment, yes.
You weren't able to avoid a fight the rest of that day, were you? Is that a yes or a no?
No. I mean, no, I was not able to avoid it.
Okay. After he ejaculates on your back, apart from feeling relieved, do you feel used, humiliated?
I felt a little bit used when he said, go clean yourself up. But I didn't really dwell on that very much.
Okay. What did you do after that?
I stayed in the bathroom for a few minutes. He was still in his office doing whatever he was doing.
The bathroom, just to clarify, we talked earlier in this trial, there was a bathroom upstairs. Did he have more than one bathroom?
There were 3 bathrooms in the house.
Okay. Which bathroom were you in? One upstairs or one downstairs?
Downstairs, right across from his office.
Okay. When you were cleaning yourself up, could you hear him in his office, or describe for us what you...
No, I had shut the door.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, just to make sure everybody heard this. Did you hear Mr. Alexander while he was in his office when you were in the bathroom?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't recall hearing him. I don't recall hearing him. That's what I said.
Okay.
Sorry.
When you shut the door and cleaned yourself off, was it then your plan to leave?
I was going to say goodbye to him eventually, but we were still kind of hanging out. Now that he was in a better mood, I wanted to say goodbye, like in a nice way. So I went back in the office and we hung out for a few minutes, and then we decided to go upstairs and do more pictures.
Well, let me ask you a question. This desk, moments before you cleaned yourself up and you went back in the office to talk to him, he had just bent you over the desk and ejaculated on your back.
People like this tend to pull truth.
I haven't finished my
Mix it
question.
with
Were you angry when he did
Untruth.
that?
and that's how they look
At
so
this
believable,
point in time, were you angry?
No, I wasn't angry.
right? Right?
Your hope, you said earlier that you
Hi, Brandi.
wanted the visit to end on a positive note, right?
Yes.
And this is what when you went back into the office to talk to him, was it your desire to end this trip on a happy note?
Approach, please. Continue.
After this so-called sex took place and you cleaned yourself up,
Such a mischaracterization was less sex.
Restate your question.
After he bends you over the desk and ejaculates on your back, you're still looking to end this trip on a good note, right?
Of course.
Right after he did that,
Gross.
asked and answered.
Hello.
Just clarify your question.
Gross.
After he bends you over,
I pulled up at
go to the
just the
bathroom,
wrong time.
Just the wrong time.
Just the
You're
wrong
still
time.
looking for
There's
a
not very
way
many
to
great
end the
times.
trip on a good note, aren't you?
Shall I put a pause on this for a second?
Sure, you can.
Okay.
Say hi to the. Maybe everybody needs a little break from that
Say hi to the night courties.
cold shower and whatnot.
You're right.
Hello, Colties. Hello. That's a spicy meatball. Yes. Not what I was expecting to see when I opened things up, but open things up might be the wrong word for, or wrong term for. Anyway, when I hey, I get so I there's so many, like, I think that when anytime something is like this is on, being shown, then I feel like every little phrase that I say has, like, a double meaning, or, like, so then I get really, like, self-conscious about all of my terms and how they could be interpreted as something dirty. See? Hello.
Hello, Alyssa.
I'm super late too.
I heard today was great. I heard
It
went well.
was. Yeah. We had so much fun. It was the exact break that we needed from all of the mess. Tomorrow is closing arguments, and then we go into verdict watch. So today was like this nice palate cleanser. We got to, jump around from trial to trial. And I think that the plan as of right now is we're going to do the same thing on Friday, because we'll be in verdict watch. So we're going to do a choose your own adventure on Friday. It was so much fun because everybody got to, like, there were some trials that I had not seen. So it was so fun having everybody else explain things to me instead of, me having to research anything. It was,
Right.
It was a blast. It was so many fun adventures today. So
2 car chases.
Two
Not
car
one, but
chases.
2.
RA would be so proud of me. And I was like, Weather Watch was in the chat, and he said there's a car watch or a car chase. And I was like, oh, RA is going to do it. And then I was like, oh, he's on vacation. So I covered him.
No.
I was like, I'm not, I'm no RA, but, since we had to choose your own adventure anyway, we followed along with somebody else's adventure that they chose that did not end well. So, but it was fun to watch and,
At
follow
some
along.
point, like halfway through the nights, I should do something that's different to break it into 2 parts so that people have a break.
Yeah.
I don't know what, but I need
Yeah.
to find it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
It really was a nice, like, breaking everything up the way that it did. It really was nice. And having people, choose their own, like, people, some people were emailing stuff in. Some people were, giving suggestions in the comments. And so we just pick a couple, put up a poll, and everybody chose their next adventure. And it was so much fun. So
Awesome. Well, you may have seen a few new wrenches, a few new mods in our chat.
I haven't seen it yet. Let me see. Let me see.
Take
Who
a
we
look.
got?
I will announce them again because apparently I missed somebody and I feel bad. Let's see here. Hold on. All right. Leonard Amber, Amy for Justice,
Yay.
Angie Burr, Buffy Bot, True Crime Ranch, aka Candace, Amy. Nope, I already did that. I did that already. Oh my goodness. City Kitty. Captain. Yes, I think that's everybody.
Yay!
At least between the morning and the yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, yay indeed. I think that puts us up to maybe 15.
That's
now.
amazing.
No, wait, hold on. I'm sorry, 15.
Should've made a
Between
list, bro.
20 and 23, somewhere in there. What I need is a roster. I need a roster.
Yeah.
That would make sure that I don't forget anybody. Also, we all know my memory is shot to heck.
Oh God, mine too. If it
It's
wasn't for spreadsheets, I couldn't remember anything. So that's okay.
I remember the most pointless stuff
Yeah.
ever.
Oh, I've been playing with. Hold on.
It's been 84 years.
You did it.
I did it.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
Yay! I figured
like
out how
that
to.
one. We're gonna have to
Tomorrow's gonna be a
compare notes.
blast.
We're gonna have to compare notes.
Oh yeah. I didn't have a chance to do a whole lot of them, but I was playing with it today. This one. Yeah.
Trombone's a winner.
I got some fun ones. So yeah, this will make closing arguments a lot more fun tomorrow, because you just wait till they get up with their nonsense. I won't be like,
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
I like this one.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
yes. Oh gosh, there's so many.
Oh my gosh. I am now sitting, thanks to the suggestions of everybody. This is 15.
Yeah. We'll have to get
I'm
some.
almost 100 different sounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 6 pages of them on the Stream Deck. So
I've got 5.
well, that's
not
the
5
beginning,
pages.
right?
Not 5 pages. Just 5.
You need to have John Thomas. Hey. I hear that one a lot. You know what? I do actually have the ability to do voice changing, I think.
Yes.
I need to find it. I do.
There's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
There is.
I was looking at some of the I don't know where my app went. What's the name of my app? Oh, there it is. Found it. There's all kinds of stuff that they can do. You can do it to like where you're in a cave. If you just decide you want to be in a cave.
Did this change my voice at all? No.
I don't think so.
All right. One day I'll have to figure it out.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that was on there. I haven't even had a chance to like really look at everything yet. There was hold on, there was one that was yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. There were some pretty cool ones though. I had a chance to mess with it a little bit today, and I got frustrated because I could not figure stuff out, because you know how I am with the tech stuff. And you were busy, so then I'm left to my own, and what good am I without JT? So I was looking, trying to figure stuff out, and I ended up, YouTubing like 27 videos just to get my 5 sound effects. So, that's okay. It's okay. And I thought I was doing really good, and now you have 6 pages.
Well,
okay.
It's also been a couple of weeks that I've done it, so.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're also so much better at the tech stuff than me.
It's just, I kind of make it up as I go.
I am exhausted, but I wanted to come say goodnight to all my culties.
Well, thank you. Did you just click on that too?
Yep. Every time we click on the same stuff. Every time.
Oh gosh. So was it actually Lucy that destroyed your internet today? I'm pretty sure you explained this to me, but
well, she destroyed my computer.
Better.
So she unplugged, like everything went black. And she had unplugged my surge protector. And and I had like the little my internet was being a little bit wonky before, but I didn't really pay attention. It wasn't too bad,
Right.
So then it by the time it logged back on, it was having trouble like connecting to my fancy new fiber internet. And what I didn't realize is about 10 minutes before she unplugged everything, They had some kind of something where they came and did something. But where we were on the fiber internet for like each floor had its own or something like that. Now we have condo individual ones.
Oh, nice.
So they swapped me over, which is even faster than it was before, which is amazing.
You don't have to brag.
I was so excited, but I kept thinking that Lucy really messed something up because when she unplugged everything, I plugged it back in, but then I'm like, it's not, my internet's not going back off. And then I didn't even think about it at the time. Her unplugging this had nothing to do with the internet because the internet is they've got like the box, on top of the thing. So it's not even plugged into where this was over here. But anyway, we got it figured out. I just had to hook up to my old internet, my backup internet that I had. So, but she got a spanking. I'm just joking. I would never spank that baby. Who could spank that sweet little baby? But
my my happiness comes from nope, not that. But also don't stop working at the same time. But I pulled the new camera arrived. And so I finally have something that I think is a little more reasonable where I can
no dang. Okay.
I can zoom in and mess around with a bunch of stuff too. So exposure and shutter speed and stuff like that. So, I probably couldn't afford it, but I ended up doing it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
because everybody deserves it.
That's the story of my life. Yeah.
Oh,
man. But it's fancy and you get to zoom in. And I am going to skip buying any fancy cameras because like I've told people before, I look better blurry. I look younger when I'm blurry.
I told everybody that if I looked worse, the camera was better. Therefore, it was working. So.
No, JT. No.
Well, I say the same thing to you, and you refuse to accept it. So.
I know. That's just because I like hearing it again. Just joking.
That's fair. I can encore it. I'm always up for an encore.
All right, I'm going to let y'all get back to it. I wanted to pop in and say hello, and I am so excited about our new mods. This is awesome. We have we have the literally best mods that ever existed on the planet YouTube, and I am so thankful for it. I can't like y'all, some of the stuff. And I get to the point where I start losing my temper too. And I'll start seeing, and I'm like, we had somebody today, Abe was in chat and he said something about how, the Melly stuff was too much for him. So he hadn't been around during this trial. And I was like, oh yeah, it's been a lot for me too. And then right then I got a free Melly and I was like, this is why. That's
exactly why.
People just come in and do that instead of having actual conversations about why you think that, but I get to that point where I lose my temper. I'm like, this is why. And I show the comment. I'm like, this is why, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my mods are probably so disappointed in my behavior right now, but it gets to that point. So luckily they are so fantastic though. They get to all the comments before I see them when I'm looking at them on the other screen. But if I'm in StreamYard, then, I see it anyway, but.
It's so funny because there's a couple times where I've been like, just let them handle it. It'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I also know that I can't tell a strong, independent woman what to do. So you go
or a stubborn a-hole like me. I'm going to the thing is like, I'm normally pretty good about it, but it gets to that point where I just get so annoyed that I'm like, let me just acknowledge you and so that we can all recognize that you're a moron and then maybe you'll move on. And normally, they do. So the trolls are going to troll, man. But, and that's the thing. It's like, I like having, different opinions and conversations. I don't consider a troll somebody that has a different opinion. That's not a troll. A troll is somebody who comes in and has no actual opinions. They just want to say, free Melly, or they just want to say, Lori Vallow is innocent, or they just want to say, what? Block her. Just joking. Just joking, Eliza. Okay. But my thing is like, don't come in with your little taglines and think that you're just gonna, like, no, like, get on now, shoot. Oh, that needs to be my next sound effect. Shoot, get on now. But
Get on.
I like actual discussions, not stupid nonsense. So I've had my limit. It's a good thing this trial is ending tomorrow. I hope that, Shabusiness starts next week because we can all collectively hate her together.
True.
And that will make all of our lives a lot easier. That one's a lot more, cut and dry as far as evidence goes. She told police already that she pled not guilty, but she told police already that, she did it and she enjoyed it. So get along, little doggy. I'm going to look. It might take me another 2 weeks, but I'm going to figure out how to get me my sixth sound effect on there. And it's going to say.
Hold on. I got to play this one.
Hello, Poppy.
Yay!
Lisa has her own sound effect.
Okay, look at all this. Look, already y'all are testing my patience. I'm just joking.
Well,
Just joking.
It'll be interesting. I'm fascinated to get all of the all caps texts and Discord communication from our mods when the verdict is read.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know it's over.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Did you see,
no.
Speaking of all caps, did you see that one comment that we had yesterday? Was it yesterday where she said, typing it in all caps doesn't make what you're saying make sense? And I was like, oh my God, that's the best. Like, that's my new favorite phrase of all time ever. Oh gosh.
Well,
I've thought about this. I'm going to have to change my settings a little bit to allow for spicy words. So I'll have to do that before it starts. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see. I'm just winging it.
They kick us off for nothing, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Just winging it. But all right, culties, I love y'all so much. I will see you in the morning. And I am going to take an anxiety pill, and I may have a glass of wine for breakfast. No judgment here. It's Thirsty Thursday. So, we're just gonna see how it ends with us. So, but I will let y'all get back to it. I will see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay. And back to Jodi.
Are you looking for a way to end this trip on a positive note despite all of what he had just put you through?
Objection leading again.
Sustained.
What are you hoping to accomplish by going in the office after he's done this to you?
I wanted us to part ways on a positive note.
What did that mean to you?
It meant him leaving not angry and me leaving not crying.
He's a poet and didn't know it.
Were you crying?
No, not at that point in the day.
When you went back into the office to talk to him, was he angry?
He was a lot calmer. He wasn't angry anymore.
Okay. Did you leave then?
No.
Why not?
We decided to go upstairs and take pictures, more pictures.
You say, we decided. How did that come to pass? Was that something he wanted to do or something you wanted to do?
It's something that goes back several months.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Well, the Cancun trip was announced in 2007, I think right before I broke up with him. And so he assumed he was going to win this trip. And so he was getting in shape. He had bought this thing around Christmas time called Body Bug, where he measured all his calories and all the calories he took in and all the calories he burned, so that it was just simple plus and minus math so that he could lose weight. And then I think it was in February or March that he received, maybe it was April, that he received confirmation that he was going to Cancun. And so he beefed up his workout even more so that he could shed a few more pounds. The prior summer he was almost 240, and so he had lost a lot of weight. He was down to like a little over 200, and most of it he had gotten a lot of muscle and lost a lot of body fat. So he was very proud of his shape. His goal was to have a six-pack. He wasn't quite there, but he was close. And when he got to that point, he wanted photos taken of what he had accomplished. So since Cancun was very close, he had almost completely sculpted his body the way he wanted it. It wasn't quite to where he would have preferred, but it was very close.
Well, let me interrupt you for a minute, because you said a couple things of note. You said the Cancun trip was announced in 2007?
Yes, in June 2007.
Okay. Were you ever scheduled to accompany him on this trip to Cancun?
No.
When you drove from Pasadena to Mesa to Mr. Alexander's home, were you under the impression, did you know whom he was going with?
I was under the impression that he was taking his friend's babysitter. He owed them $2,000, a couple thousand. And they said, if you take our babysitter, we'll call the debt even if you give the ticket to her. That's what he told me.
So there was no inclination on your part or desire or expectation or hope that you were going to go to Cancun with him in June of 2008?
No.
Okay.
Never.
You mentioned he wore a body bug. You talked about the things that it measured and that sort of thing and why he did it, but physically, where did he wear it?
On his upper arm.
Okay.
I don't remember which side.
And you saw him wear this on several occasions?
Almost all the time.
Okay. Going back to what has been marked Exhibit 167, Ms. Arias, you mentioned that he wore this body bug on his upper arm. This gray object we see here, is that his body bug?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that there had been some discussion about photographing him before his trip to Cancun because he was proud of his body, right?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as engaging in this particular session or photo session that day, whose suggestion was it that this take place?
I think I threw it out there that day. It's something he had been wanting to do.
Okay.
But
Was this a peace offering of sorts on your part? Why did you offer him this opportunity?
he was proud of his body, and I just wanted to do something else that would make him happy.
Was this with the goal in mind of ending on a positive note?
Yeah, he didn't get the pictures he wanted, so I offered to do that. I was going to do it anyway, or he was going to at one point. It was going to happen. He wanted those photos, so I just suggested we could do it right now. It was late in the day. I wasn't going to make it to Lake Powell before sunset, so that was out of the trip. So I figured I have time now, technically. I don't have to make it to Lake Powell before sunset. So I have time.
What do you mean he didn't get the pictures that he wanted? You said he didn't get the pictures he wanted. What do you mean?
From the CDs.
Oh. So this these pictures you were going to take of him because he was proud of his body, where were these pictures to be taken?
We were going to take them in the bedroom, but we decided to do it in the shower.
And were these to be taken with
You
his
did
camera or your camera?
My camera had just been packed, so we decided to use his camera. That way he could keep the photos and didn't have to worry about me waiting for me to give them to him.
And we mentioned earlier in the day, or you meant just a few minutes ago, really, you mentioned that he had 3 bathrooms. I just want to make sure we're clear. The shower that we're talking about, where these pictures were to take place, where was that shower located?
In the master bathroom.
This might be a good time, Judge, to.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 10:30 tomorrow morning, so be here by 10:25. Please remember the admonition. Have a nice evening. You are excused.
The next day.
2 hours later.
Wow, it'd help if I turned on the
ended.
sound.
We were at the point in time on June 4th, late afternoon, early evening hours, when you were about ready to depart. You were telling us before you departed, you were going to, or you and Mr. Alexander had decided to engage in this photo shoot, you called it, right?
Yes.
And this was to take place in his bathroom, right?
Yes.
Okay. Why was the shower area selected?
It was selected for the water. We were going for a certain effect with the pictures and the water.
Okay. When you were in the bathroom, you took these pictures with Mr. Alexander's camera you were telling us yesterday, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And where was your, refresh our memory, where was your luggage and your items, your personal items, when you were doing this photo shoot?
Well, I think my camera had been put away. I didn't really even bring it out for that part of the trip. So I don't recall specifically, but I think most of my stuff was in the car at that point, maybe except my purse.
Okay. When you were in the bathroom, did you have a gun with you?
No,
Were you holding on to a knife?
no.
Okay.
You sit on a throne of lies.
So we saw the pictures of him in the shower. Tell us what happens once he gets in the shower.
I'm taking pictures of him. We were trying out different poses. We were
Are you
kind of,
communicating? Is it
yeah, we were kind of
friendly?
laughing.
Okay.
It was, I don't know, it was a little weird because the background wasn't that great, but the water was okay. And we were trying out different poses, and then we were checking the photos and deleting them, and then taking a few more and checking them and going through them and deleting them. And at one point he was sitting, and I was taking pictures. I was probably a few feet from the shower so that the water didn't get on the camera. And I was showing him the photos, and we were deleting some. And at one point when I went
you were
to
trying
delete
to stay
the
away from the
photos,
shower.
as I moved the camera, it slipped out of my hand. And it didn't like fall right away. I kind of caught it, and then I caught it like a football, like it bounced, and I almost caught it. But it didn't catch it, and it landed on the mat, and then it rolled onto the tile. And
And where were you when this took place relative to the shower?
I was crouched by the shower. I might have been on the mat or on the edge of the mat.
Okay. So what happens after you drop the camera?
At that point, Travis
Yep.
flipped out again.
Think about your
And
story.
he stood up and he stepped out of the shower and he picked me up. I was crouching, but he lifted me up as he was screaming that I was a stupid idiot. And he body slammed me again on the tile.
Nope.
He told me that 5-year-old can hold a camera better than I can.
Oh, she just made that one up.
Go fly a kite.
He was, as he was screaming at me, there was spit coming out, or maybe it was water, but I was getting wet. And when I hit the tile, I rolled over on the side and started running down the hallway. And I went, I don't know why I didn't run out of the room. I ran into the closet because the door was open, was my thought. The last time I ran down the hallway, he caught me before I got to the door. And that was another incident in the summer.
Add that.
So I guess I went into the closet. And
What do you mean? Let's talk about that. What do you mean this summer incident? What incident were you referring to?
there was an incident where he was really upset. The whole incident?
Oh, yeah, what happened?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, that's going to do it.
The previous
She
summer
hadn't
in
made it up.
August, 2007, I got hired at P.F. Chang's to work, and they needed my social security card, which I didn't keep in my purse because for security reasons, it was packed away. And I was looking everywhere for it, couldn't find it, so I assumed it was in one of the boxes that were in Travis's garage. So I called him. I needed the card for the next day for work. After I'd been looking for it, I wanted to come over and look for it there. He said, sure. It was a brief phone call. It was about 11 o'clock at night. And he sounded sleepy, so I thought maybe he was sleeping. I came over. I went into the side, of course, to go into the garage to look for the box. But this time, instead of going into the garage, the door was locked, which was unusual because it's almost always open. So I think no big deal. I start walking around the back of the house toward the sliding glass door, which is never locked because he had installed a doggy door.
There it is. Doggy door.
So the sliding glass door butts up to it, but it doesn't
Drop your
lock.
doggy door emojis in the chat.
So as I was walking around the house, the blinds to the living room were open and I could see this blue glow coming out of the window from the TV. And I was walking toward the glass and I glanced in and I noticed two people making out on the couch. And I stopped for a second because I thought that was awkward. And I assumed it was one of his roommates. So I thought, how would I handle that? You know, I thought maybe I'll just walk in real quick and say sorry, and just because I would have to walk past them to get to the garage because it was on the couch. They were on the couch. So I decided I would do that. And then as I was going toward the glass, she stood up and she rehooked her bra, and the guy stood up wiping his mouth, and I saw it was Travis. So we weren't together at this point, and I knew that there were other people.
Sorry,
that
mods.
he was seeing or that I was maybe seeing, but it kind of still hurt. So I ran. I didn't go to I didn't go get my social security card. I just left, and I went home, and it was too late to call anybody really. So I just waited till the next day to call my sister, my little sister, but she wasn't home. She lived with my parents at that time. My dad answered, and I told him what happened because he was somebody to talk to. I didn't confide in him often. And he was asking me why I was crying. And so I just told him what happened. And so at that point, I decided I'm just going to go over there and ask him if he's dating someone. That way I can move on or something.
What she didn't want to
So
do.
I went over to his house. I went into the house, and he was in the laundry room stenciling stripes down the walls, getting ready to paint them. And I hopped up on the washing machine and sat there. And he came down on the ladder and he gave me a kiss. And I just said it flat out. I said, if you're dating someone, it's okay, you can tell me. And I told him, based on what he had said about Deanna in the past, I said, I won't freak out the way Deanna does. Because he had said that about her. And he just thought that was a strange question. And he said, why are you asking me that?
How does this, without saying what was said, you mentioned that this correlated to the incident on June 4th. Were you in the upstairs area with Travis after this argument about seeing him with another girl?
Yeah, he just let out a real frustrated scream and he walked out of the laundry room and palmed the wall really hard with his palm. I mean, not the wall, the door frame of the laundry room, and just went upstairs, and I sat there kind of stunned. I'd only seen his temper a few times at that point. And I heard this thud, this banging, like rhythmic over and over and over, like just, it was dull and something was like hitting something over and over and over. So I jumped off the washing machine to see what it was, because he was the only one home. So I went upstairs, went into the bedroom. It was getting louder as I got toward the bedroom. And then I turned to look down the hallway and he's banging his head repeatedly on the linen door closet.
Not strong enough.
And it was awful to watch him do that. And I walked up to him sort of tentatively because he looked unstable. And he was mumbling something under his breath and he kept saying.
Okay, just I mean, you mentioned, did you have to run away from him that day?
I finally said his name to get his attention, and he screamed "what" really loud, and he spun and looked at me like a madman, and
Hola, hello.
It freaked me out. So I ran down the hall, thinking I would just get out of the bedroom, but he caught me right as I reached the threshold of the bedroom. Right when I reached the carpet, he caught my wrist and pulled me back, and I was freaking out. Then he calmed down, and he explained to me that she was just a girl that he met in Phoenix.
Would be surviving.
They probably wouldn't see each other again.
Okay.
So terrible.
Moving back to June 4th, before we continue on the story, I want to talk to you about a couple of exhibits. The first being Exhibit 160. You see that? You look at that? Was that a picture that you intentionally took?
Again.
No, it wasn't intentional.
Okay.
It got deleted.
Looking at Exhibit 161. Was this a picture you intentionally took?
No, I didn't take that one.
No, the camera fell and started taking photos.
Showing you exhibit number 159.
Oh,
to your recollection, is that the last picture you intentionally took of Travis Alexander?
I took it intentionally. I don't know what order they went in.
Okay. When he slams you down onto the ground, after you drop the camera, how do you feel?
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
I was thinking crap because it's everything that I was trying to avoid downstairs when he started getting mad. I was doing everything I could to avoid that, and I still didn't avoid it. I still screwed it up, and now he's pissed again. So he's freaking out. I'm freaking out. I rolled, like I said, I rolled off to my left and began to run down the hallway, and I could hear him follow. I mean, I could hear his footsteps chasing me.
Were you scared when he was chasing you?
Yeah, I didn't want him to grab me again.
What were you scared that he would do?
Who knows? At that point, he had already almost killed me. I wasn't thinking when he almost killed me before that I was going to possibly die. I was just thinking I couldn't breathe, no air. That's all I could think of before I passed out. But it was later on that I realized that I could have died if he just held on to my neck a little longer. So I didn't want that to happen, obviously. So I ran into the closet and I slammed the door, and I intended to run through the opposite end of the door because it has another exit. And as soon as I got in there and began to run, I remembered where he kept a gun. So I grabbed it. I jumped up on the shelf, kept it on the very top. I grabbed it. And then I ran out the other door as he was opening the door. And he ran, chasing me. And I turned around and pointed it at him so that he would stop chasing me.
Jodi,
Look, let me tell you the story about a man
I
named
want to show you what's been marked as exhibit number 70. Do you recognize that area?
Yes.
What is that?
Not as cool of ties.
Closet.
Kurt's just saying. That's a lot of
You
shoes.
said that you grabbed
Who needs?
the
Not
gun
okay.
from the
Not the
closet.
point. Not the point.
Can you point to us where the gun was?
It's not shown in this picture, but it's up the very top of the shelf, up like right
How
here.
Okay, let me
But it's
show you.
above that.
Let me show you then.
Hold on.
what's
What?
Been entered as exhibit 69. Does this show the area from which you grabbed the gun?
Yes.
Could you point to that for us, Jodi?
It was up here in the corner, kind of up, right up there.
Okay.
It was what?
You told us that you knew the gun was there.
How did you
How did you
get
know
it?
that?
I had known he had it. I found it one day when he used to give me projects when I would clean. Sometimes it was the floorboards, sometimes it was light
Thank you,
fixtures.
Franco.
And this day it was the closet shelves. I had to pull everything off the shelves and dust it off. So I got onto the top shelf. There was, I don't know if it was shown in that picture, but there's also a seat. So I moved the seat
there-
around to stand on it to get up there, and it was up there.
Okay.
And all of this while you're trying to get away and making quick decisions. That's what
So you told us that you grabbed the gun and got out through the closet, correct?
Yes.
I want to show you what's been marked as exhibit 162.
There aren't enough sound effects
Jodi, how do we look at that
for this
picture, please?
testimony.
How do we get to that point in time? What happened between the
I'm
time
going
you
to let
grabbed
this
the
one
gun?
go. I don't think it's obvious.
I don't know how that picture was taken.
I'm not asking you how the picture was taken. I'm asking you what happened at that, in between the time you grabbed the gun and what we see here. What happened?
When I grabbed the gun, I ran out of the closet. He was chasing me. I turned around and we were in the middle of the bathroom. I pointed it at him with both of my hands. I thought that would stop him. If someone were pointing a gun at me, I would stop. But he just kept running. He got like a linebacker. He got kind of low and grabbed my waist. But before he did that, as he was lunging at me, the gun went off. I didn't mean to shoot him or anything. I didn't even think I was holding the trigger. I just was pointing it at him. And I didn't even know that I shot him. It just went off and he lunged at me and we fell really hard against the tile toward the other wall, like kind of near the scales or whatever those things are. So at this point, I didn't even know that if he had been shot. I didn't see anything different. He was just, we were struggling and wrestling, and he's a wrestler. He had wrestled in high school, and he was getting on top of me. And I didn't want him to get on top of me because when he had done that in the past, I can't get out of those holds that he gets. So he's grabbing at my clothes, and I got up, and he's just screaming angry. And after I broke away from him, he said, "Fucking kill you, bitch." And
Before he lunged at you, was he yelling at you and threatening you? To your recollection?
well, he was chasing me, and he was pissed off.
Okay. Do you remember him yelling or saying anything?
He was calling me names because I dropped his camera.
Okay. Do you remember what those were?
Well, I remember him calling me a fucking idiot. And I remember him telling me that a 5-year-old can hold a camera better than me.
Do you remember saying anything to him as he lunged at you?
I don't think so. I was crying and running, and I pointed it at him, assuming that he would get the idea that to stop. He wouldn't stop.
What do you mean he wouldn't stop?
Well, after the gun went off, I thought, oh, crap, because now he's really going to be pissed. I didn't know that I shot him. I thought I shot a hole in the wall or something, and I'm thinking he's really going to be pissed at me now. So now he's telling me he's going to kill me, and I think
It was a requirement of application.
after he said that, he had almost killed me before, and
And what?
there's a lot of that day that I don't remember. There are a lot of gaps. I don't remember the poses of the pictures. I remember them now that I've seen the pictures, but I didn't remember them until I saw them. I remember taking pictures. I just don't remember the pictures themselves, even though we looked at them. And now I see them. I remember them.
Yellow.
Well, let me ask you this, getting us back to that moment in time, not the poses, anything else. You've told us that he said, "Kill you, bitch," and you were underneath him trying to get away.
He said that right after I broke away from him.
Okay, right after you broke away from him. Once you broke away from him, what do you remember?
Almost nothing for a long time. There are some things that have come back over years, but nothing. I don't know if those are things that I'm thinking of from before or if it's that day. It's confusing. There is like a huge gap. Like, I don't know if I blacked out or what. There's a huge gap. And the most clear memory that I have after that point is driving in the desert. But there are certain little things that have come back, like pictures in my mind that have come back since then.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you remember stabbing Travis Alexander?
I have no memory of stabbing him.
Yeah, that's what you started
Do you
crying.
remember, as we see here in Exhibit 162?
Yep, that's what you went with.
Do you remember dragging him across the floor?
The answer's probably not.
Oh. I just remember trying to get away from him.
No, it wasn't me. It was the one-armed man.
Showing you Exhibit
Thanks,
73.
Inquiring Mind, for the super chat. And you're welcome. In fact, you guys are staying up
Do
late.
you
with
remember
me.
placing him in the shower?
So thanks for being here. And thanks. Just thanks.
I'm sorry, that's no.
You told us that after running away from him, you don't have any clear memories of what
One day I'll
happened
play
after
that, and it actually will be, and it'll
Until
be awkward.
hours
brutal.
later, right?
I have a few memories, but nothing super clear.
Okay, tell us about those memories.
I have a vague memory of putting the knife in the dishwasher, but I put the knife in the dishwasher before, so I'm pretty sure it was that day.
Do you know where you got the knife from?
It was upstairs.
Okay. Are you assuming that, or do you remember that?
I'm assuming that. It hadn't been moved since he cut the rope.
What's that?
I don't think it had been touched by either of us since he used it to cut the rope.
What else do you remember from after the time that you crawled out from underneath him?
Well, at least it's not pink. I don't know.
I remember
Orange is the new
I
black.
was in the bathroom.
Black is the new black.
I remember dropping the knife and it clanged to the tile. It made a big noise. And I just remember screaming. I don't remember anything after that. Not immediately.
Yeah, I mean, yes, as
Do you remember where he
as a
was when you were
concept.
screaming?
But
I think he was next to me on the
For
floor.
memory.
I don't know.
well, traumatic memory loss doesn't matter whether you remember it or not.
You know where you were?
And trauma, whether you committed
I was
or
in the
experienced it,
bathroom.
it's still trauma. You bring up a point, Franco. I don't know. Bless you.
What else do you remember?
I don't know. It's so hard because she just has a history of just
Not much.
embellishing. So
It's not much mean nothing.
I remember more the feeling of that time, not pictures and things that I can bring back.
Tell us about the feeling.
It was like mortal terror. It was like I pissed him off the worst I'd ever seen him pissed off. And then I tried to stop him, and then I pissed him off even more. And I thought, shit, I'd really, really pissed him off. And he was angry at me, and he wasn't going to stop.
What do you mean by he wasn't going to stop?
she does seem to mimic.
He wasn't going
what
to
she
stop. He
thinks
wasn't
is
stopping.
correct.
He was-
She picked some weird times to do this.
When you say he wasn't going to stop, did
This
you
would
feel
be
that
the
he was
time.
going to kill you?
Previously been
For
weird.
sure, when he said kill you, yes. He'd almost killed me
Also,
before.
hi Terry.
And now he was saying he was going to.
So when he said that to you, you believed him because of past incidents.
Her aunt has a grin. Her mom looks like she's about to ball. I don't know.
Why did you believe him when he said, kill you, bitch?
Because he'd never said that before. And he'd taken me almost to that point without that threat. And now he was clearly making that threat.
Had you not just shot him, according to you, I'd say some things.
You told us.
Also, let me put a pause on this for a second. If this part of the testimony, is bringing up some really hard stuff for you, it is okay to look after yourself and leave for a bit. I am hoping we make it to Cross tonight. That is my goal. I cannot remember if Cross happens during this video or the next one, so we'll see what happens. I'm definitely going to give it my all for you guys to get there to at least the beginning of it. However, that being said, You can always watch the replay when we get to cross. It'll be easy to see because it'll be Juan instead of Kirk. And if this is drumming up hard feelings, memories, if this is putting you in a position or a spot emotionally where it's just not a good place, please, 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 I want you to hit the X button or swipe up and close. Truly. The last thing that either I or Brandi or anybody with 13th Juror want is to bring things back up, things that you may have addressed that you haven't addressed. So please, please, please look after yourself. It's okay. I don't think any of you actually need permission, but I want to tell you that it is okay. So yeah, I just wanted to say that now because it has been, but you know what I mean. You know where I'm going. You know what I'm saying. So
Your last memory in Travis's bathroom was sitting on the bathroom floor screaming.
I don't know if I was sitting or what. I just remember dropping it.
Okay. Dropping the knife?
Yes. I remember what was going through my head. I don't remember anything else after that.
What was going through your head?
That I just couldn't believe what had happened, that I couldn't take anything back, what had just happened. And it was like, I couldn't rewind the clock.
absolutely.
Did you realize all that had happened?
I don't know about all, but I just remember dropping the knife and being very freaked out and screaming.
After remembering that feeling,
You guys have
and
seen
dropping the knife in the
this when I read her letters.
bathroom.
This is how I do it. I mean, almost exactly.
And some of the other memories you've shared with us, what is the next point in time for which you have a memory?
From which that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I remember driving. I thought I was driving west because I remember the sun was in my eyes for a while. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't have my GPS anymore. I hit a lot of stoplights, so I don't know that I was on a freeway. I hit a lot of stoplights. And then eventually I was in the desert. I don't know where. It got dark.
So you don't remember really even driving, other than what you told us?
Well, that was the first more or less clear memory after.
Okay. Did you have thoughts about what happened?
Yes.
At that point in time, when you were pulling away and driving away, did you have the gun with you?
I don't remember bringing the gun with me, but I remember throwing it.
Thank you, sir. But
Throwing it where?
I feel like it's
In
just
the
a good thing
desert.
to be as a human.
Okay.
But I appreciate it. Thank you.
What about the rope he had tied you up with? Did you take that with you?
Yes.
And Do you remember what you did with that?
Eventually, it went into a dumpster.
Where?
It was behind a gas station. I think it was somewhere after St. George. I don't remember. It was getting light out wherever I was parked at that point.
Do you remember? Let me ask you this. When you were driving, was there blood on you?
Yes. There was, when I finally came to, I saw there was blood on my hands. And I didn't have my shoes. I didn't know where my shoes were. I was in the middle of nowhere, so I pulled over. And I got out of my car. I was really thirsty. So I had a case of water from Costco in the trunk. So I got some water, a water bottle. I rinsed my hands off with it as well. I got my other shoes. I had business shoes for the prepaid thing, and I got those ones.
When you do this, you have the water, you're cleaning the blood off yourself. And did you stop and clean yourself up before you disposed of the weapons or after you disposed of the weapons? Or is it all one stop?
Thank you. Thanks for turning green.
I don't remember what I did, what happened to the knife, so it wasn't in the car with me.
Back to the Kool-Aid.
The gun was when I stopped.
Take a dip.
And the rope was after that. Another stop.
When you got to this point in time then, did you do so with the full realization of what had happened in the bathroom?
I don't know how full my realization was, but I knew that
She taught him.
I knew that it
Considering
was
the timeline.
really bad, and that my life was probably done now.
At this point in time, did you believe that Mr. Alexander was dead?
I believed that, but because I didn't have any clear memory.
Believe whether he was alive or dead.
Restate your question.
Explain to us if you believed Mr. Alexander was alive or dead. Let me just ask you this, yes or no? Did
Mean
you
that you can't
believe
answer
he was
It's a
alive?
bullshit question. It's impossible to answer.
Impossible.
I didn't know, but I didn't think he was, because I didn't know. I thought he was not alive at that point.
Was there a part of you that hoped he was?
Yes.
Shoot back! Shoot back!
What's that?
I said, yes, of course.
What do you mean, of course?
I wish that it was just a nightmare that I could wake up from. And then just find out that everything was still the same way.
Did you
She's
still
crying.
love him?
She's thinking of all the things she messed up.
Yeah, I did.
Do you still love him now?
Yeah, it's a different love, but yes, I do.
Now, after you have cleaned yourself up and you disposed of the gun and the rope,
Jodi, how do you?
what do you
cut
do
your
next?
nails? Girl.
I started looking around for the charger that I thought I left because Matt hadn't answered his phone until he was there. And I started cleaning out the car and it was under the seat of the passenger side. So I plugged it in. I turned on my phone. There was no reception. As I began to drive, some reception came, like one little bar, and then two, and then one, and then none. And I had, I think I had voicemails. I kept trying to check them, but the reception wasn't strong enough to complete the call.
About
So,
the after.
I don't know if I
and
had
the
text
during.
messages or not, but I text.
Why are you interested in your voicemails at this point in time?
Yeah, why? That's my question. Why?
Well, I realized at that point that a lot of time had lapsed and that people would probably be wondering where I was. I realized that it was irresponsible of me to just hang out with Travis, but he always was the priority whenever we got together. And so all my other responsibilities just they went to the back burner. So at this point I thought, well, Ryan was expecting me, Leslie was expecting me, all these people are expecting me. I don't even know which way I'm going at this point. I don't even know what I'm going to tell them. Maybe I'll say I got lost. I don't know. I'm just thinking of all these things. So I finally get to this sign that's where it says Las Vegas is like 100 miles away. So I thought, okay. I had an idea sort of where I was at this point. And then I came upon the Hoover Dam and there was a checkpoint there. I had to stop and then they let me go through it. And on the other side of the Hoover Dam, I stopped again and pulled over. And at this point, I realized I was in really deep trouble. And I started thinking of what I could do to delay the inevitable.
Well, let me ask you about that. Your phone was working then? It begets the question, why not just dial 911 and tell them what happened?
Yeah, that question.
I was scared and I couldn't imagine calling 911 and telling them what I had just done.
So I came up with a bunch of excuses.
Well, I was scared of what would happen to me. I was scared of a lot of things. I was thinking of all kinds of things. My family, myself, what would happen.
Me.
I was thinking of having to explain that.
Having to explain what?
How the day ended up unfolding. I was just really scared. I was actually very scared going through the checkpoint too. I thought, oh my gosh, they're gonna pull me over and this is it.
Well, you said that the people expecting you to be in Utah, Ryan and Leslie, and you mentioned delaying the inevitable. What did you mean by delaying the inevitable?
I knew I'd messed up pretty badly and that the inevitable was going to be that it's not something that I could really run from.
You said that you messed up pretty badly, but he attacked you. Why did you feel like you messed up pretty badly?
he attacked me, but I don't know. I didn't look at it like that. He had attacked me in the past and nothing happened.
Exactly.
Nothing like this.
If that.
But it was
is true.
different this time, wasn't it?
It was different. It was heightened.
Okay. So you felt a sense of
I mean, her theme song is
remorse
that Toby
about
Keith.
what happened?
Want to talk about me? Want to talk about I? Want to talk about number
Of course, I
one?
wanted to
Oh,
rewind the
my.
clock and just.
Ugh.
And what?
So that never had happened. I mean, I was thinking at the time, the camera, if I wouldn't have dropped the camera, but I realized there were probably other steps that could have been taken, even though he got really mad. And even though he threatened to kill me, maybe I'd have run left instead of right.
So you're regretting not taking alternative steps,
That's the face of Juan saying,
right?
no, please say so.
Is that correct?
Sustained, rephrase.
You were you angry at yourself?
I was feeling a whole lot of emotions. Mostly I was very scared. And I was very upset. And I was very, I don't know, it's hard to explain because I just wanted to die.
Did you contemplate killing yourself at that point in time?
Not that very moment, but yeah, I did it thereafter.
Okay. Well, let's stay in that moment for now. Talk about delaying the inevitable and how you can't run from this. People are waiting for you. What do you decide to do?
The sleepy bear.
Um,
That was bad timing on my part.
I knew that my life was pretty much over, but
There's the tears. All the tears are about her. Do you see this? Do you see what I see?
I didn't
Of course you
want
do.
anyone to know that had happened or that I did
See
it.
it better than me too.
So I started taking steps, or what I could do in the aftermath of it to try to cover up that I was there.
This is disgusting.
So I did a whole bunch of things to try and make it seem like I wasn't ever there.
Do you remember what those things were?
Yeah, when I pulled over at the Hoover Dam, I thought of, well, I had called Ryan at that point, and Leslie, and Leslie said we called Travis because we thought maybe he would know where you were, because we know that he still talks to you. And so then she said, I've left a voicemail, and I thought, oh, okay, so they're gonna find his voicemail. Maybe I should leave a voicemail. So I called his phone to leave a voicemail. I didn't really know what I was gonna say. I just thought, at this point, I told Ryan I got lost, and I told Leslie the same thing. And his voicemail picked up, and I started trying to say that too. But I was crying, and I was trying to make it to sound cheery, but I was crying. And so I would hit pound, and I would listen to that message, and it didn't sound right. So I would delete it, and I would try again. And that one, then I started crying in the message, and that one didn't sound right. So I deleted it.
2 hours later.
And I would try again.
Blah, blah, blah.
And I was talking too fast in this one, or I started crying in that one. So finally, I'm frustrated. This call is a long time, and I hit pound again. I erased the message by hitting 3, and then I started recording it again. And And then I listened to it that time and I was like, okay, it's good enough. I need to leave that. And so I had that message sent.
So this was your effort to try to
Cover
act
up.
as if you weren't present in Mr. Alexander's home on June 4th?
Yeah, I figured that eventually his voicemails are going to be listened to. And I thought that'll just, throw the scent off for a little while, so to speak.
Bro.
So after you make these calls to Mr. Burns, Miss Jodi, and Mr. Alexander's voicemail,
Yes, Smithers, Mr. Burns.
what do you do next?
Kept driving past Vegas.
Where were you intending to go?
I realized that in order to keep up that pretense, I had to keep part of the schedule that I was sticking to. So my intention was to show up in Utah, make an appearance, and go home.
And showing up in Utah, was
But
that
you
for
won't.
the business meeting that we had heard about earlier?
Yeah, whatever was going on that day. It would have been a briefing, I think.
Okay.
That's what I went to.
The overall intent of going to Utah was to spend time and get to know Ryan Burns, right?
That was the whole purpose for the trip initially.
Cut it
That and to
out.
see places on the list and for my photography.
All right. So when you were driving from the Vegas area to Utah, did you contemplate what sort of behavior Mr. Burns was expecting out of you when you got there?
Yes, I was contemplating what kind of behavior anyone would expect out of me, which would just be the same me or normal or trying to act like my same happy-go-lucky self that I tried to always be.
So as it relates to, and I'm going to ask about just a couple of people because we've seen them throughout the course of this trial. How did you try to act in front of Leslie Jodi that would be quote unquote normal?
Just positive, not emotional.
Okay.
I
And
guess
what,
as normal
what
as
about
not
Ryan
emotional.
Burns? You'd exchanged flirtatious text messages with him. Heard about this being a budding romantic relationship, at least from his perspective. What did you feel like acting normal would mean with Mr. Burns?
All right. We've heard the unaliving. We've gotten into the cover-up. And so I think the majority of you wanted to hear her talk about the event, the murder. That's what it is. I can indeed move to the next video, which happens to start the cross. If you would like to do that, I can do that. There are still 2 hours on this video, which tells you where we're going to be or not be. So we can definitely start one tonight, like I had promised. You all know that I was going to ask. You know me well. Cross, one. Yes, one. Yes, one. No, please do it. All right, let me write down the timestamp that we were at. Terry would be proud of me. It's a pink pen. I think this is 1 second. Part 10. Part 10 of a testimony. I will pop that in a post on YouTube so you know where we were on this one. And now we're going to move on.
So the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Ms.
Okay.
Arias, you are still under oath. Do you understand?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez, you may cross-examine the witness.
Ma'am, take a look at Exhibit 413.
I'm so excited.
You recognize that exhibit, correct?
Yes.
And that's a picture of you, correct? Right
Yes.
here. And the other one is a picture of your dumb sister, Angela, correct?
That's my sister. She's not dumb.
Well, you remember having a conversation with Travis Alexander back on May 10th of 2008.
Yes.
And do you remember that you tape recorded that conversation?
Yes.
And during that conversation, isn't it true that you said, but I honestly think, talking about Angela, she's a little bit dumb. You said that, right?
Yes, I called her dumb and stupid.
Did I ask you whether or not you called her stupid, ma'am?
No.
I asked you whether or not you called her dumb, right?
Yes.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Oh, this is going to be fun.
Man, I feel like
Now
that
take a
needs to
look
be
at
something.
Exhibit 452. Do you recognize the two people there?
Yes.
And this photograph was taken by your camera, correct?
It looks like it.
Well, when you say it looks like it, isn't it part of the same photographs that are involved in Exhibit 413?
I think it is.
Well, exhibit number 413, that was taken on May 10th, we'll bring it in, of 2008, right?
Yes.
We'll bring it in.
And this photograph here, exhibit number 413, features the color of your hair, doesn't it?
Yes.
Exhibit 452 also features the color of your hair, doesn't it?
Yes, a different part of my hair.
And this was taken sometime in May of 2008, correct?
This exhibit?
No, exhibit number 452.
I only remember it was the spring, I think.
Of 2008?
Yes.
I move for the admission of exhibit 452.
Objection, lack of foundation.
Counsel approach.
Mhm.
She was admitted.
Baby, I like it. Is that our court reporter back? I think it is, and I think he got a haircut. But apparently I'm the court reporter now.
Now, take a look at the back of exhibit 452. It contains a date on there.
Is that our
Does
favorite
that
court
date
reporter?
refresh your
It
recollection as
sure
to when
is.
this photograph was taken?
Yes.
No
And
glasses.
what date was this photograph taken?
5 days later, the 15th of May, 2008.
Jodi wanted a
And
good
with
time.
regard to this photograph, it also features you. And it also features your sister, the one that you also said was stupid, correct?
Yes.
He's gonna.
Now, with regard to this name calling,
Oh,
one of
God.
the things that we heard through a text message was that you were upset at some point because Mr. Alexander said that you were going to turn out like your mother, or you were acting like your mother. Do you remember that text message, man?
Yes.
And in that text message, there was this indication that somehow he was saying something bad about your mother, right?
Yes.
And when you testified, you seemed to get pretty upset about that, right?
I remember getting emotional.
And you indicated that you loved your mother, right?
I do love my mother, yes.
Did you or did you not indicate that you loved your mother? I'm not asking you if you love your mother. I'm asking you if you indicated it.
I don't remember.
Do you have problems with your memory, man?
Sometimes.
So you can tell us, for example, what kind of coffee you bought at Starbucks back on June 3rd of 2008, but you can't tell us what you said yesterday or the day before?
I always got the same drink at Starbucks.
And you can tell us, for example, what type of sex you had with Mr. Alexander many years ago, but you're having trouble telling us what you said a couple of days ago?
When I'm under stress, yeah, it affects my memory.
I thought you said the relationship with Mr. Alexander was very stressful.
Some of the sex wasn't.
Pardon?
Some of the sex wasn't.
So you did enjoy the sex then, is that what you're telling me?
At times I did.
But you did indicate at some point that as part of your examination also that Mr. Alexander at some point said something about your grandparents also. Do you remember telling us that?
My grandfather.
Right, that he made some pejorative comment or some bad comment about him, right?
Yes, his name.
Right. And one of the things that seems to be coming out here is that you seem to have a double standard here with regard to making comments about people,
Turned out
don't
well,
you?
huh?
Yes, I do. I do.
And in fact, it's okay for you to make comments about, for example, Angela and call her dumb and stupid, right?
Thanks, Shireen.
No,
Well, but you said it, right?
I did.
And we heard on the telephone conversation that you were laughing when you said that, right?
Yeah, it was sentimental, kind of.
You were laughing. You weren't upset when you said it, were you?
No.
And then when Mr. Alexander says something like, you're going to be like your mother, that's when you get emotional and upset, right?
That part.
I did.
You are not
And
wrong.
that's when you get upset when he says something about your grandfather, right?
That night I was upset.
And, well, you did get upset, yes or no?
No, because I was already upset.
Well, you didn't get upset on the witness stand when you told us about
Oh,
it?
yeah, on the witness stand, certainly.
And so it just seems that it's okay unless it's okay to say these things unless it's Mr. Alexander that's saying them, right? So
No,
you're
that's
applying
not
a
what I'm
different
saying.
standard to Mr. Alexander, correct?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
And ma'am, one of the other things that we know with regard to this standard applying and that sort of thing is back yesterday, as a matter of fact, you told us that back in August of 2007, you went over to Mr. Alexander's house. Do you remember telling us that?
Yes.
And you remember telling us that at that time, you were broken up with Mr. Alexander, right?
Yes, I'd broken up with him.
Well, you broken up with him or he'd broken up with you, one of the two, right?
I broke up with him about a month
And
ago.
you broke up with him on June 29th of 2007, right?
Yes.
But you felt that it was okay for you to go over to his house in August of 2007, didn't you?
After he told me, yes.
Yes or no? Did you feel it was okay to go over to his house?
I said yes.
And when you went over to his house, you indicated that you knocked or you did something and that nobody came to the door, right?
Don't
I
make
went to
me
his
do
house
the
a lot in
SpongeBob
August,
laugh.
so it depends on
Ma'am,
the incident
I'm
you're
talking
referring
about the
to.
incident that you told us about yesterday. Do you remember the one that you related that involved the killing? Do you remember telling us about that?
I did not knock.
And you did go over there, and at some point you started to peep in to the house, didn't you?
Yes.
So that means that you don't know if you knocked, though, right?
I did not knock. I know I did not.
So you went around the back then to look, right?
I went around the back to get in.
You went around the
He's
back
been
then,
writing
right?
these notes down.
And when you went around the back, you're telling us you went
For how many
around the
days?
back to get in, right?
8.
Yes.
But when you got to the back to get in, you started to look at what was going on, right?
I glanced in as I was walking to the sliding glass door.
You did walk in and you were looking at what was going on, right?
Yes.
I did not walk in.
Yes.
Then you were outside looking in, right?
Yes.
Never went in, right?
No, I ran out of the backyard.
You never went in, yes or no?
I said no.
I'm
And when
gonna
you
fight
went
my
and
pillow. That's what I'm
looked, you
gonna
saw
do.
something that upset you, right?
Yes.
You saw Mr. Alexander, right?
I didn't know it was him at first,
Yes
but
or
yes,
no? Did
that
you
was
see
him.
him during that encounter?
Yes, she's answering questions.
All right.
I did. I said no.
Pardon?
I didn't know it was him at first.
You didn't see him when you were there that night?
I did afterward, yes.
That night, ma'am, listen to my question. That night, did you see Mr. Alexander inside that house? Yes or no?
Yes.
And inside that house, there was a female, right?
Yes.
What's the name of the female?
He didn't tell me her name.
I'm asking that. Did I ask you if he told you the name?
No.
Because she knew.
So did you recognize her?
No, I did not.
And he was there with the female, though. You were able to see her face, though, right?
Yes, sort of.
Well, yes or sort of means two different things. Yes or no? Were you able to see her face or not?
Part of it was shadowed from the
Yes,
TV
no,
behind her, so I
Ma'am,
saw part of it.
Judge, she's not answering my question. If you can instruct her.
Ms. Arias, listen carefully to the question and answer only the question you are asked.
Okay.
May continue.
Could you see her face?
She's not
Yes or
saying
no?
sorry now, is she?
Part of it.
But you were able to see that they were making out, right?
Oh, yeah, they were.
And
Oh, yeah.
so is that a yes? They were making out, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
And part of what you also saw was that her brassiere was off,
funny.
right?
Jodi?
I did not see that. I just saw her rehook her bra.
Pardon?
I didn't see it all the way off. It just saw her
You
rehook.
indicated that you saw her hooking the brassiere back on, right? You
She
told us
was
that
rehooking
yesterday,
it.
yes?
She was rehooking it, yes.
So you did tell us that yesterday, right?
Yes.
So that means that at least that her bra was unhooked, right?
It was unhooked.
Finish
And
her.
you stood there and they stood up in reaction to something that you did? Is that what you're telling us?
No,
They didn't see you,
they didn't
Somebody
see
said
me.
that.
but you
Right.
saw you.
There it is.
So what happened then is you actually
Finish
were
her.
watching what they were doing then, right?
Briefly, yes.
Did I ask you for how long, ma'am?
No,
I asked you if you stood there and watched them, right?
no.
You didn't stand there and watch them?
I didn't stand there. I saw it and then I turned and ran out of the backyard.
But you saw enough to know that they were kissing, right?
Yes.
You used the term making out, didn't you, yesterday?
Yes.
You were there long enough to see that one of the individuals was Mr. Alexander, not his roommates, right?
Yes.
You were able to see that it was a female, right?
Yes.
You were able to see that the bra was unhooked, right?
Yes.
And the lights weren't on, right?
There was a light.
Well, didn't you indicate that it was like a TV kind of light?
That light. Yes.
Right? So there
I
was
mean,
no
he's
light.
no
there was
John
a television
Thomas,
that was
but I
on,
mean,
right?
he'll do. Yeah.
That's light.
Man,
I certainly didn't learn this from a movie.
was it a light or was it a television that was on?
It was light from a television screen.
So are you saying that it was the television that was on then?
Yes.
And from that light, you were able to make all of this out, correct?
Yes.
No other light was on, right?
Not that I recall.
And then you decided to leave, right?
Yes.
And this was at the point that you were living very close to Mr. Alexander, right?
No.
Well, you were living within 10 miles of him, weren't you?
I was living by Greenfield and Broadway. I don't know the length.
How long would it take you to drive that?
About 15 minutes, depending on traffic.
And after you saw this, one of the things that you did was that you took off, right?
Yes.
And then you thought about it, right?
Of course. Mhm.
And you felt strongly enough about this that the next day you called your father, right?
I called my parents' house and my dad.
Yes or no, you spoke to your father.
I did speak to him.
And you were crying, right?
Yes.
And you were upset about this, right?
Yes.
And you told him why you were upset, right?
Yes.
I thought you said before that you didn't discuss these issues involving you and Mr. Alexander.
Not typically.
Not typically. You said you didn't yesterday and all the days before. You remember telling us that?
The violence, yes.
Oh, I see. So, but you did discuss the fact that you saw him kissing with somebody else with your father, right?
Yes.
And as a result of that, you decided to go talk to Mr. Alexander about it, right?
Yes.
What in the world gave you the right to go talk to an ex-boyfriend with who, according to you, you'd broken up with? What right do you have to do that?
Objection, Your Honor, so argumentative.
Sustained.
The whole thing is
Yeah.
argumentative.
Feel that you could go and talk to him about that?
Of course.
Why? Weren't you broken up?
Yes.
You were being territorial about him, weren't you?
No.
Oh, you weren't? Then why in the world would you even care what he was doing?
Because he was trying to court me back.
That's you telling us that he was trying to court you back. If he's trying to court you back, you could have just walked away at that point, couldn't you?
Yeah, I could have at any time, I guess.
Well, at that point, you could have walked away, right?
Yes.
You didn't need him for his paycheck, right? Because he wasn't giving you money, right?
He was giving me money.
Well, that was for some work, but you could have gotten other work, right?
I guess I could have looked.
You guess. You worked at other places. You know you could have gotten other work, couldn't you?
Not in August. It's very slow season for restaurants.
So you're saying that you were restricted in only getting work at restaurants, that there's no other kind of work that you could get?
Restaurants is,
Yes or no?
I guess that would be no, but I hadn't thought about it.
So then, in addition to that, you were living in your own place, right?
No,
Well, you were living with Mr. Alexander?
no,
You were living elsewhere, weren't you?
yes,
You were living in another place, right?
yes,
Where you were paying rent, right?
no,
You weren't paying any rent at all.
not with Rachel.
So in other words, it was even better for you. You didn't even have to worry about having to pay the rent then, right?
Yes,
And so you could have just left that situation alone, but you decided to confront him anyway, right?
of course,
And the reason that you did it is because you were jealous, right?
no,
And then you did talk to him about this issue, correct?
yes,
And he got upset with you, right?
no,
He didn't get upset and scream and run upstairs? Isn't that what you told us yesterday?
yes, he did.
So, ma'am, to go back to this issue involving the text messages, one of the things that you told us was that there was a text message that you sent to somebody by the name of Steve Carroll, right?
Yes,
And that it was a two-part text message, right?
yes,
In this two-part text message, one part ended up going to Mr. Alexander, right?
yes,
And that he got upset about it, right?
very yes,
And after he got upset about it, one of the things that he wanted was to see the second part of this text message, right?
yes,
And so you lied to him at that point, right?
no,
Well, you fabricated a second text message, didn't you?
after that point, yes,
So are you telling me that fabricating a text message is not a lie?
no, I'm not saying that.
So you did lie to him, Mr. Alexander, right?
Question asked and answered.
The one's full of her nose tears.
Yes and no,
So you think that sending him
Every time,
that
yeah.
text message and telling him this is the second part of the text message, that that's not a lie even though you fabricated it?
that part was the lie.
And so you then were asked the question, well, how did that make you feel when Mr. Alexander was sending you these text messages involving Mr. Carroll? Do you remember that line of questioning?
But you're
Yes.
here.
We're applying a different standard here then, right?
See you, Ricky. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being first in chat.
With regard
Thanks
to
for the
this
compliment. Appreciate you.
issue of how
Have a
you
good one.
feel,
And don't.
isn't that the same way that you felt when you were peeping in his window in August of 2007? Isn't that the same kind of feeling that you were having
The same as what?
as the one involving
Is that an
Steve
Amber Heard
Carroll?
reference?
I don't know.
You were mad at Mr. Alexander both times, weren't you?
I wasn't mad at Alexander.
You weren't mad at him, or you were upset with him then, right?
At what time?
Either time.
Steve Carroll, no.
She's
The
not
girl
going to
from
get one
Phoenix,
over
yes.
on one. She's just
And-
not.
So it just seems that it's okay
Trying,
for
though.
you to lie to him about a guy, but when it comes to him being with some other girl, you decide to confront him, right?
Yes,
And one of the other things that you told us yesterday was that you were monogamous with Mr. Alexander, right?
sexually monogamous, yes.
Man, you told us you were monogamous, and that's what
What does that
monogamous
mean?
means sexually, doesn't it?
Sexually monogamous. Has anybody
I think it
ever
means
used
more
that
than that
phrase?
sometimes.
Has
Well,
anybody
in this
ever
case,
used that
monogamous
phrase?
means sexually, doesn't it?
Objection, this characterizes her testimony.
Restate your question.
When you say monogamous, it means sexually, doesn't it?
Which time?
The time that we're talking about right now, involving Mr. Alexander, no other time.
Our relationship evolved, so
I'm not asking you if it evolved. At the end, right when you killed him, you indicated that you were monogamous with him, right?
yes,
And at that time, you then left the killing scene, if you will, and you went up to Utah, right?
yes,
And when you went up to Utah, ma'am, you ended up with somebody by the name of Ryan Burns, right?
yes.
And you ended up in his bed, right?
I think it was a love sack.
Okay, and with regard to at that point, according to you, Mr. Alexander still wasn't dead, was he?
Obviously, Jodi was third in chat.
It wasn't discussed.
Well, did I ask you whether or not you discussed it with Mr. Burns? I didn't, did I?
I wasn't talking about Mr. Burns.
I'm asking you at that time, didn't you tell us yesterday, at the time that you went up to Utah, you weren't sure if he was dead? Do you remember telling us that?
Not in Utah, from the Hoover Dam or right before the checkpoint.
So when did you know that he was dead? Tell me that.
Can I tell you something? This is what I love. This is what I love about, about this broadcast, is that for the entirety of the trial up until this point, it has been camera A to camera B, to camera A, to camera B, to camera C, to camera B, to camera A. Now we're getting split screen because they just can't pick. And so, production-wise, chef's kiss.
Well, I got confirmation of it on June 10th, but
So, okay, if you got confirmation on June 10th, you met with Mr. Burns, what, before June 10th, didn't you?
yes,
You met him on the 5th, right?
yes,
And so at that point, you didn't know, according to your own story, that Mr. Alexander was dead, right?
You'd
guess
say
I
you're
knew-
monogamous making your own podcast.
I wasn't accepting it.
You either knew or you didn't. Which one is it, ma'am? Make up your mind, please.
Objection, ask and answer.
Ask another question.
Yes. For
You
all
know he
8
was
plus
dead
days.
when you were Mr. Burns and he were kissing.
Objection, ask and answer. This is the
Overruled.
question.
Overruled.
Yeah, I think I did.
You think you did, but you're not sure at that point.
You're a man-eater.
I wasn't really in my own mind. I was out of my mind, sort of.
So if you didn't think he was dead, if that portion of you didn't think he was dead, then it's okay for you at that point, if you didn't think he was dead, to sort of roll around with Mr. Alexander then, with Mr. Burns. Then that was okay, right?
Finish her.
I'm single.
Right? Just like he was on August 7th of 2000, on August 8th of 2000, in August of 2007, right?
The
Yes.
ultimate
So it's okay for you, then it should be okay for him,
of
right?
it all.
It was okay
Then why did you confront him the next day if it was okay?
because he was still courting me. I wanted to know where I stood.
And so because of he was still, your definition,
wants her?
courting you, you felt that you deserved an explanation, right?
Yes,
Hadn't you just had intercourse with Mr. Alexander on the 4th of June?
yes,
And if he was still alive, he would have deserved an explanation then for you being with Mr. Burns, right?
no,
Well, no, you're applying a different standard here, aren't you?
no,
You're saying, one, it's okay for you to confront him about the situation, but not okay for Mr. Alexander to confront you, right?
if he wanted to confront me, it would have been okay.
Ma'am, with regard to the exhibit number 452, it does show you, right? Correct?
Yes,
And it shows again Angela, correct?
yes,
Shows something else on there though, doesn't it? Doesn't it show your hand?
yes.
And in fact, let me show you another close-up of that hand.
He's doing everything we wanted to do this whole time. The shade of it all. I got another one for you. Hold on. You might have heard
Please
it already,
pray.
though.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
I think.
Exhibit 453 is a close-up of your hand, right?
Yes,
And then you can also see the jewelry around your sister's neck.
Yes.
Exhibit 453, correct?
yes,
And you previously have told us about Exhibit 452 and when it was taken and who's in that photograph, correct?
yes.
I move for the admission of Exhibit 453.
No objection.
Fingergate.
And ma'am, this was also taken, according to your testimony, on
The
May 15th.
fickle finger
Let's
of
take a look at that.
Fingergate.
Of 2008.
Oh, look at that. It looks just fine.
That's a picture of your left hand, isn't it?
Yes,
And that shows your ring finger, right?
yes,
Do you remember that you testified that on January 22nd of 2008, you and Mr. Alexander were involved in some sort of violent encounter? Do you remember telling us about that?
yes,
And you told us that during that encounter, he threw you down. Do you remember that?
yes,
And while you were down, that he kicked you, right?
yes,
And when he kicked you, ma'am, one of the things that happened was that
Funny to
you
her.
put up your left hand. Do you remember telling us that?
yes, both hands.
Well, you told us specifically about your left hand, right?
Yes,
And when you went to put up your left hand, according to you, he kicked you and he damaged your ring finger on the left hand, correct?
yes,
And in fact, you even held it up for us, didn't you?
yes.
And it was crooked when you showed it to us, wasn't it?
It's bent. Yes,
It's bent. Show us how bent it is again, ma'am. Higher, so we can see it sideways. Ma'am, if he caused that damage on January 22nd of 2008, that would have been before this picture that we have here, which is exhibit number 453. It would have been about 5 months before that, right?
it was before that.
5 months, right?
4.
4 months then, right?
Yes,
You don't have a bent finger here in exhibit 453, do you?
my finger is bent there.
You're saying that your finger is bent
What?
there.
Yes, just
Hold
the
up your
same.
finger again. Sideways so we can also see it.
Now.
When
No,
my
it's
fingers are
different.
straightened, this one stays
And
bent.
that's what it looks like, your finger. And you're saying that's what happened on January 22nd, 2008, right?
Yes,
Now, one of the other things involving this particular finger, it seems to have had its run, if you will, of bad things happen to it, right?
this finger?
Yes, the left ring finger.
Sexually monogamous.
I don't know.
Probably not.
Well, you talked to Ryan Burns about it, didn't you?
Yes,
And you told him that that finger, the left ring finger, had been damaged, right? Injured, didn't you?
I don't know if it was the left.
You don't remember telling him it was the left ring finger?
No,
Do you have a problem with memory?
occasionally.
And so some
When
of
it
the things that
suits
you
her.
told us, for example, then about other things in the past, you may have also had problems with your memory then, right?
Yes,
And I feel like that needs to
And
be
so
celebrated.
whatever you told us in the past is somewhat suspect then because your memory may be lacking.
Objection, argument.
I only told things I remember clearly that are crystallized in my mind.
With regard to Mr. Burns, you do remember who he was, right?
Yes,
And you do remember that you went over to West Jordan to meet him, right?
yes,
And you do remember that you did meet him that Thursday, and it was sometime around 11 o'clock in the morning, right?
I think so, yes.
And when you met him, you guys decided to go somewhere to a restaurant for some sort of business meeting, right?
Yes,
And during that time, didn't you have a bandage on your finger?
yes,
And it was your left finger, wasn't it?
no.
It was your right finger then, right? Is that what you're saying, it was your right finger?
It was 2 right fingers.
So it was your right finger then, right? Ma'am, are you sure that it was your right finger?
Nope.
It was 2
Pardon?
right fingers.
Nope.
Do you remember then that you had a conversation with Detective Flores about this issue involving the finger?
Yes,
And do you remember that that was on July 16th of 2008?
yes,
And do you remember that you told him that on June 4th, you had been over at Mr. Alexander's home, right?
yes,
And you told him that you were over at Mr. Alexander's home and that some guy and some girl had come in, right?
yes,
And during whatever happened on June 4th, you told Detective Flores that it was your left finger that had been damaged. Do you remember that?
yes,
So you did tell that to the detective that it happened on June 4th, right?
yes,
Does that then refresh your recollection and we'll play it so that we know what we're talking about?
Objection, she's already been to it.
We moving it in, not for teaching purposes, just moving it in, state versus Applewood.
Approach from council. 454 is admitted.
Did you get hurt, Mike? You said you were
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
She cut me.
Where at?
My hand.
Let me see. Where at?
You actually can't see it. If you look at my finger isn't the same now. I was
Let me see. Where did it get cut?
That's her right hand.
it was conveniently it was right on the crease.
Nope, that's her left
Right on
hand.
the
I
crease.
can't. I don't
Can
know
you
right
see?
from left.
Oh, it's kind of in purple color, I
This
guess.
one here.
Same here with this.
Yeah, right on the crease.
Oh, there's a vein on this one, maybe. I don't know.
Is this one here?
I forgot this part.
So
Well,
slice
no, this could be it.
Just a
I don't
small
know.
one?
Who knows?
Or was it pretty deep?
I don't know how deep it was, but my finger hurt for a while.
Okay, so like right in that crease that you,
Exactly.
right, across both of them?
Exactly.
Not my middle finger. It cut this one a little, but not as
My
much.
dad has
This is where it
never
really
made fun of
went.
me for that.
I don't know how it happened that all these other fingers were missed, but this one, yeah, I don't know. This one, like I still can't close this finger all the way. It's as close as it goes. Whereas this one?
So listen, the whole right-left thing, always had a problem with it. Makes no sense. You put me on a stage, I can tell you stage right, stage left, audience right, audience left. Very easy for me. But I've had so many people, countless numbers, tell me, just put up your hands like this, and you'll know which one's left. But when I do this, my brain says, and I've been writing for decades, my brain goes, which way does an L go? Which way does the L go? I don't know. I guess this one. So I can't win. There's no winning. Not in my brain. It's a weird place.
Goes like that. Also, my CTR ring used to fit both fingers, and I can't get it on this finger anymore.
So they cut pretty deep then?
I guess if you feel it, squeeze it. It just feels like bone, like there's nothing abnormal there. But again, like my CTR ring slides right on this finger, and it used to slide right off this finger, and I just can't fit a ring on here.
Okay.
It's a bigger size now.
What about this here? What's that from?
That's my cat.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure she scratches me out.
That's my cat.
That tape, or that videotape, right?
Yes,
And that's you having the conversation discussing the left ring
Flores
finger,
admiring
right?
his
yes,
work.
And you demonstrated to Detective Flores that left ring finger, right?
yes,
And you told him that this woman, during this attack on June 4th of 2008, cut you right there, didn't you?
yes,
And you showed him, and the finger, if we look at it there, had the same aspect or had the same angle to it that your finger does now, doesn't it?
yes,
Ma'am, the injury to your finger happened on June 4th, 2008, not January 22nd of 2008, did it?
that's not correct.
Ma'am, with regard to the story involving this particular issue, you told us that it happened on January 22nd of 2008, right?
Which issue?
The left ring finger.
Yes,
You then discussed it, or there was this issue with Ryan Burns, right?
which issue?
The cut finger.
The cut finger, yes.
And
Two
then
cut fingers.
on July 16th of 2008, you discussed it with Detective Flores, right?
Yes,
One of the things that you told Mr. Burns was that you cut it at Margaritaville while you were working there, right?
no, I did not say
You
that.
never told him that then, right?
I said at work.
So you never told him Margaritaville then, right?
No, he said that.
Right, but you never told him that you cut it at Margaritaville, right?
No,
You told him that you cut it at work then, right?
yes,
And then when you spoke to Detective Flores, you gave him a different story. You didn't say that it was cut at work. You told him that it was cut some other way, right?
yes,
And then you testified about it in this court, right?
yes,
And you gave us another story of how this happened, right?
no,
Well, do you remember that you testified that you were at Mr. Alexander's home on June 4th of 2008 at the sink? Do you remember telling us that?
yes,
And do you remember telling us that you dropped the glass in Mr. Alexander's house?
June 4th,
Whatever date you were there at Mr. Alexander's house.
I broke more than one glass at his house.
Ma'am, do you remember testifying yesterday about how you suffered this injury to your finger? Yes or no?
Not this finger.
No? Do you remember testifying that involving your finger, your left ring finger yesterday, as a matter of fact, that was cut when you dropped a glass when you were at Mr. Alexander's house on the day that you killed him?
I did not indicate my left finger. I said my
Oh, so you
finger.
were saying it was your right finger that you cut in Mr. Alexander's house then, right?
It was my right finger, yes.
So throughout this whole thing, Mr. Burns, when he indicated what finger it was, he was mistaken. Well, not he was mistaken. You're saying you never told Mr. Burns that it was the right finger that you cut, right?
We didn't discuss which hand.
Okay, so you never indicated to him in any way, shape, or form that it was the right finger.
Objection, ask and answer.
First name.
And this issue of the 22nd of January 22nd, when you injured, when you say that you were injured, you kept a journal, didn't you? You kept the journal, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you didn't write in it all the time, but you wrote in it some of the time, right?
Frequently, yes.
Frequently. And you were writing about what was going on in your life back in January of 2008, right?
Yes.
And you would write about things that were significant.
Some things.
Right. And in fact, with regard to this particular journal, you knew that you could almost write anything that you wanted in it because it was going to stay private, right?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Well, man, let me show you, or let me mark one of them as an exhibit. Take a look at exhibit 242.001. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
And that's your journal, right?
Sure is.
I read that. Take a look at the entry, and just read it to yourself, on Sunday, August 26th of 07.
The whole entry?
Just read the first 5 lines.
Yeah, we don't hear everything.
6
please.
lines.
I've read it.
Yes.
You wrote that, right?
Yes.
Take a look at exhibit number 455. Is this a true and accurate copy of those 5 or 6 lines?
Yes.
And you wrote that back on August 26th of 07, right?
Yes.
Let me have that back, please. Move for the admission of exhibit number 4.
Oh, we're gonna look at all these things.
You may. 455 is admitted.
Yeah, it is.
Take a look at August 25, 2607, and we're done reading it.
Just this one entry?
Yes, just that one entry of August 26th of 07.
Okay.
I know you have 2 entries, but the first entry is the one we're talking about.
Yeah, it looks like I have 3 on that day.
So have you read the first entry that involves this particular snippet?
Yes.
Thank you.
Objection, Your Honor, let's read all entries before answering the questions from officer.
We should get him in a wig.
Overruled.
This journal and your journals were meant to be private, right?
Yes.
And that's what it says there. Well, I guess it's a good thing that nobody else reads this because I write right now that I love Travis Victor Alexander so completely that I don't know any other way to be, correct? That's what it says.
Yes.
Do you remember when we started talking this morning that we talked about an incident where you went over to his house?
Yes.
And this was the incident that you referenced involving the killing, right? That it went through your head, right?
You talking about the incident in August 2007?
Right,
Yes.
exactly. And that incident in August of 2007, where you went over and peeked inside of his house, happened before this entry here of Sunday, August 26th of 07, right?
Peep.
What was the last thing you said?
He said, by saying peep.
Restate your question.
When you looked inside the house.
Do you love
Yes,
me?
it did
Yes
happen
or
before
no?
this entry.
Circle
Right, and
one.
so really the reason why you confronted Mr. Alexander was not because he owed you an explanation or anything like that. The reason you confronted him back in August of 2007 was because you were in love with him and you didn't want to let him go.
I'm gonna try and
right?
find him and get him on. I really am.
That's not right.
He's done some speaking at
But I
conferences.
wasn't in
and
love with
conferences.
him.
Yes.
So I
You
think
did
he'd
write
speak
this,
to me.
didn't you?
Yes.
Now, you kept more than one journal, you kept a number of journals, right?
I'm saving all of these
I kept one journal at a time.
for like a movie
Let's
slideshow.
take a look at another journal. Yeah, take a look at it too. 242.0.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
Right?
Yes.
Why don't you open it up and look through it? 2.002. That's your writing in throughout that whole journal, right?
Yes.
There is an entry for Thursday, January 24th, 2008, right?
Yes.
Let's just take a look at it.
It's not nice to use Pam like that. Jim would not be
See that?
happy.
Yes.
We need to mark another exhibit for you.
I don't know, Lisa. I've got yours right here. Let's read it, shall we?
Take a look at exhibit 456.
I don't have a Lisa wig, though. I'm out. Oh, well.
The exhibit that you have in front of you, that's the whole entry for January 24th of 2008, correct?
I believe it is for this single one, yes.
There are other entries, but that's the complete entry for that one. correct?
Yes.
Because it's written in blue ink, right?
Yes.
And the other ones are written in black ink, right?
Yes, the one following.
Stupid is, stupid does, sir.
We move to the admission of exhibit number 456.
Juan said,
Welcome to the party,
I'll take a look at this exhibit number 242002. We talked about the entry of January 24th of 2008. Take a look at this
you
journal.
guys are hysterical.
And isn't it true that the previous, in terms of chronological time, that the previous entry is on January 20th of 2008?
Yes.
So there's a gap of 4 days between the time you wrote on January 20th and on January 24th of 2008, right?
Yes.
Nothing in between, correct?
Not in the journal.
I'm asking about the journal, ma'am.
That's
Is there
correct.
anything else in front of you?
Asked and answered, Your Honor, and argumentative.
Sustained.
In the journal, ma'am, there are no other entries between January 20th of 2008 and January 24th of 2008, right?
Yes.
If we then take a look at exhibit 456, let's see what you wrote on Thursday, January 24th of 2008.
Hello.
You wrote,
mail.
I haven't written because there has been nothing noteworthy to report, correct?
Yes.
Didn't you tell us, involving the finger, that this injury to your left finger, when Mr. Alexander went to kick you, that happened on January 22nd of 2008?
Yes, it did.
And yet you write here that nothing noteworthy has happened, right?
Yes.
And then you also write that you turned down 4 offers for a date on Friday night, right?
Yes.
I think I have
You were free to date, and so was he, right?
Yes.
one of those. One of those will do
And
it, I'm sure.
then you finish it out by talking about going up to the snow, right? See that?
Yes.
You're going to go up there skiing, you crossed it out, and you just are going to go up to the snow, right?
Yes.
Did you go skiing?
No, I don't ski.
Pardon?
I don't ski. No, I didn't go.
All right.
But Gwyneth Paltrow does. Why do I feel like Gwyneth Paltrow's her hero?
The entry of January 20th of 2008, take a look at exhibit number 242.002.
I think that one has
Count the
names.
pages, please.
I wouldn't do that to my wigs. I would not do that to
Pages
my wigs.
between the two.
No, just your entry of Sunday, January 20th, 2008.
Dean
Wanna
said
share
something
where it
funny
is?
a couple days ago, which was Jodi's bangs and her part never meet. And I lost it.
It's 4 and a few lines.
And it starts on the lower left-hand corner with 3 lines as you count the date, indicating January 20th of 2008, right?
Yes. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's 5 pages and a few lines.
Tune in tomorrow.
And in it, one of the things that you talk about is this issue involving Lonnie's baptism, right?
I haven't read it. Can I read it?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh yeah, all 5 pages, please. I think this is the journal entry I read to you guys where she talks
I moved
about
away from
giving-
Lonnie, so if you want me to finish it, if you're going to ask me about the rest of the entry, I can
Giving
read
her-
I'm
it.
asking you
Flowers,
about
maybe.
reading the whole entry of Sunday, June
Okay.
20th, 2008. Go
Okay.
ahead and finish it.
Yes.
It does talk about Lonnie's baptism, right?
Yes.
And previously, when you testified, you indicated that the reason you missed Lonnie's baptism was because you and Mr. Alexander were involved in a sexual liaison, right?
Yes.
And this was a sexual liaison where the Pop Rocks and the Tootsie Pops were involved, right? That's what you said, right?
I'd have to reference dates.
Well, I'm going to show you a copy of the transcript then and see if that refreshes your recollection as to what you told us on February 12th.
I would appreciate that.
All right, I will.
He's so mad. Her neck is so tense with frustration. Wow.
Starting on page 5. Bob, read that
Would you like me to read it out loud?
to yourself.
I don't mind Toto. It's not my first choice.
Just the highlighted
My
portion?
last choice.
Nope, just keep reading it.
Okay. Starting at the bottom, right?
Right.
they
If there's any questions,
they fast forwarded so we didn't have to watch it.
That's not illegal. I can respond if you want. It's not a legal basis.
I'm okay. I like original versions of stuff, but I really like Weezer's version of Africa.
Have you
For
read
sure.
the entire transcript that deals with the sexual
that's
encounter
usually the case.
involving the Pop Rocks and the Tootsie Pops?
Yes, I started where you highlighted and finished it.
No.
Read it above it. Does that have anything to do with the Tootsie Pops or the Rock Pops?
Okay.
Does the other portion have anything to do with it or not?
Yes.
Why don't you read the previous page just to make sure that we covered everything involving that particular encounter?
Another one bites the dust.
Granted.
There's nothing about the Pop Rocks on this page.
There is nothing before that, correct?
Yes.
Yes, Judge, I'm going to ask a question. She read the entire transcript. I don't believe she has at this point.
Read the
Why
entire
hasn't she?
transcript.
Why hasn't she?
I think that's the entire transcript.
Irrespective of the date that we're talking about, whether it was January 20th or January 21st or January 22nd, you do reference the Pop Rocks and Top Tootsie Pops sexual incident by reference to Lonnie's baptism,
She
right?
sells seashells
Yes.
by the seashore. She slits the sheets she slits, and on the slitted sheet she sits.
The journal entry of January 20th of 2008 also references
Good night, Patches.
Lonnie's baptism, doesn't it? Take a look at
Yes.
Exhibit 458. This is 458.
Yes.
And that's a true and accurate copy in front of you, the excerpt of what's in your journal involving Lonnie's baptism and the sexual encounter, isn't it?
But here I am.
Yeah, let me make sure I'm just referring to the same day in my journal.
Gosh,
Well, let's take a
please.
look at it.
You.
Let me have that. The first entry is identical on the first page. That indicates Sunday, January 20th, 2008, correct?
Yes, that's when I wrote the entry.
Okay. Then, as we continue on, there is the entry involving the baptism, right? Do you see that? That entry is there involving Lonnie's baptism?
Yes, I just don't know if I'm referencing the 20th on that part of the entry.
Ma'am, is there any other intervening date between the January 20th of 2008 where we started and the very end where you put JA? Is there any other date in there?
That I did.
Yes or no?
There might be, I haven't.
Well, why don't you take a look? Let's take a look at the first page. First page starts Sunday, January 20th, 2008, doesn't it?
When I wrote it, yes.
Does it start out saying Sunday, January 20th, 2008, yes or no?
Yes.
And isn't it true that it starts out in black ink, right?
Yes.
And then it continues on in blue ink, right?
Yes.
And it flows, doesn't it? It says the words flow from what's at the bottom there to the next page, don't they?
Bye, Terry.
So then we go to the bottom of it. The next page is also in blue ink, right?
Yes.
In the next page, there is no other date reference, is there?
Objection, she says she needs to review it before she can answer the
She's looking
question.
at it.
Overruled. May repeat it.
Thank you.
No, ma'am. Don't turn the page. I just want you to look at that next page to see if you see a date.
Objection, Your Honor, she says she needs to review it.
Oh, that's not the question. Overruled.
I didn't write a date.
No, there is no date on there, is there?
No.
No.
Okay, let's turn the page. And that page is also in blue ink,
How
right?
does that work?
Yes.
Never
And there
mind.
is
I don't
no
wanna
date
know.
on that next page, is there?
That's correct.
Then let's look at the page following that. That page, where you have your left hand on, that's also in blue ink. No, you turn the page, go back. That's also in blue ink, correct?
Yes.
And there is no date on there either, is there?
That's correct.
Let's turn the
Sure is.
page.
Perfect.
And then on the next page, that's also in blue ink, correct?
Yes.
And there's no date on that either, right?
That is correct.
The next
I think,
page after
like,
that
3 days into
contains
this
the
trial,
initials JA,
Kirk
right?
was just
Yes.
like, I've
That's
got
for
more.
Jodi
I've
Arias,
got no
correct?
more F's to give
Yes.
for you.
And that's also in blue ink, correct?
Yes.
And there's no date in that one, is there?
There is not.
And if you turn the page, go ahead. There's an entry for January 24th of 2008, right?
Yes.
We can then go back, turn the page once. We're looking at the entry that says JA on it, right?
Yes.
We go to the previous page, the one that you're pointing to. It does start, if I may have it back, with a word that's in quotations, right?
Yes.
Exhibit number 458 includes that particular portion of the entry in quotations,
3
right?
days of them.
Yes.
3 days.
And if we go to the previous page,
Hold on. I
At
have
the
that
bottom
written
of
down.
the
Wait a
page.
second.
It's also in blue ink, right?
So
Yes.
The entry that I'm showing you now includes that last.
okay, 8 days of direct, 5 days of cross, 2 days of redirect, 3 days of jury questions, and I wrote something else here, which I don't know, but there was one other thing. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 18 days. Yeah, that's right. So 8 direct, 5 cross, 2 redirect, 3 jury questions. Whew.
Last paragraph, right?
Second to last.
Second to last paragraph.
In the partridge.
Well, if you take a look at the bottom, you see that there's a word
Oh, I
that's
apologize. You're correct.
okay. So in essence, what we're talking about is that the one with the word that's crossed out then travels on to the next page, and that's what's included in this entry, correct? In Exhibit 458, right?
Yes.
Along with the first page that includes the date, right?
Yes.
But
And
also
the entry or Exhibit 458 references
pink
Lonnie's
ink.
baptism, right?
Yes.
Look for the admission of Exhibit 458.
Oh, yeah. As a snack, alone, dry, at like 4:30 in the afternoon.
All right, you need some additional time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take the noon recess at this time. Please be back in the jury room at 1:25. Remember the admonition. Have a nice lunch. You are excused. The record will show the jury has left the courtroom. Ms. Arias, you may step down. Mr. Nurmi, you need some additional time. You may be seated in the back of the courtroom. You need some additional time?
Yes, Judge, this is several pages and excerpts have been removed.
Take it up at 1:25. We're at recess.
Another break.
Exhibit
We're back.
458 is admitted. Mr. Martinez, you may continue with cross-examination.
Then when we left off, we were talking about the issue involving the Tootsie Pops and the Pop Rocks. And that
Tootsie Pops and Pop Rock sounds like a punk
can be
band.
referenced involving somebody named Lonnie and their baptism, correct?
Yes.
And regardless of whether it happened on a Sunday or a Thursday, that's the same incident because you missed Lonnie's baptism, right?
Yes.
Exhibit 458 is the entry for Sunday, January 20th, 2008. Do you see that?
Yes.
And it starts out, well, I'm at the Institute Building, Dobson and Southern, the sister missionaries, correct?
Yes.
There are some 2 blank pages and then a third page that begins and says, so I went to the church building and met with the sisters and gave them a ride to the Institute building where I am now, correct?
Yes.
That's part of the same entry for that January 20th, 2008 date, correct?
Yes.
There are no, in the whole body of that particular entry, there are no other dates mentioned, correct?
There's another day reference, but not a date.
I'm asking dates, aren't I? Right?
It's implied. It is referenced.
No, I'm asking dates. Do you see anywhere in those 5 or 6 pages another date?
Yes.
Show me where there is another DATE date in Exhibit 242.002.
I'm counting this as a date where it says Thursday.
It says Thursday night, though, doesn't it?
Yes.
It doesn't say a date, does it?
No.
First day in almost an hour in.
And we're
Also,
getting to it when it says Thursday. That's at the lower
I
right-hand
just
corner
asked
of this
ChatGPT to
exhibit
write me a
number.
poem as if it was written by Jodi Arias about
458,
pop rocks,
correct?
Tootsie Pops, grape
That's
nuts,
correct.
and baptism.
And your
I think it's
testimony
a lot more
involving
intelligent than she could do.
rocks. Exhibit number 457 does indicate that you thought it was a Thursday, right?
Yes.
You indicated previously that you were having trouble remembering it. Did this exhibit refresh your recollection?
Yes.
And so you indicating I'm sitting with next to Sisters Knight, who's totally trying to read this, and Lonnie, who was just confirmed today, right?
Yes.
And that's the Lonnie that we've been talking about, right?
Yes.
He was baptized Thursday night, which is the date that is referenced in your previous testimony, right?
Right.
Shame on me.
Wrong.
I was. Quote unquote, wrapped up in other activities that pulled me away from attending the baptism. And the reason that's in quotes is because you're trying to get across something else other than being wrapped up, right?
Yes.
You're trying to get across that this involved a liaison or a sexual liaison with Travis Alexander, right?
Yes.
He says it's so
And-
much nicer.
Said namely work, but then getting prepped to go to Travis's house for the night.
What I said was I asked ChatGPT to write a poem as if written by Jodi Arias about pop rocks, Tootsie Pops, grape nuts, and baptism. And first off, I think it wrote it way more intelligently than Jodi could ever do. I haven't read all of it yet, but woof. I think it's reasonable. It's not like funny per se, but knowing what it references makes it funny.
Where we explored every naughty fantasy we could conjure up in our fruitful imaginations that we haven't already fulfilled with one another. I love him, I really do, right?
Yes.
And the fantasy that you're talking about involved the Tootsie Pops and Pop Rocks, correct?
Part of it did, yes.
Part of it, well,
I should.
man, this transcript that
I
you
also
talked
should
about
read
only
it.
talks
It's
about
really
the
what
Tootsie
you
Pops
should
and
do.
Pop Rocks, doesn't it?
No, it
Don't
mentions
wanna-
bubble bath.
I don't want
It mentions what?
to
The bubbles.
interrupt one.
And the bubble bath is part of the Tootsie Pops and Pop Rocks, right?
They were separate the same night.
Same night, is that how this reads then? The transcript, is that how it reads?
I don't know if it reads that way, but.
Well, then
that's what it
take a
is.
look at 459, which is the partial transcript, and see if that's how it reads, that it's different.
Different how? I don't know.
Well, the way you were trying to tell me that it was different, that it talks about a different sequence of events.
Yes, it references two different sequences.
Which two
Events.
Are you talking about the issue involving the bathtub?
Yes.
Isn't that part of the Tootsie Pops and Pop Rocks and engagement, if you will?
Not in the bathtub.
It didn't happen on the same day, ma'am?
Same day, yes.
Same encounter?
Yes, I guess.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, did he ejaculate twice that night?
Yes.
So are you saying that when you were involved in the bathtub, that was hours later than the Tootsie Pops and Pop Rocks? Is that what you're saying?
No.
It was part of the same encounter, wasn't it?
Yes, I guess.
When you keep saying, I guess, you were there though, right?
Yeah, I was there.
And you were enjoying it, weren't you?
Yes.
And you enjoyed the Tootsie Pops and the Pop Rocks, correct?
I enjoyed his attention.
No, I want to know if you enjoyed the Tootsie Pops and the Pop Rocks. I'm not asking you about his attention.
All right.
I can't say enjoy would be the right word.
Well, so what you're saying is, when we talk about the Tootsie Pops and the Pop Rocks, you're saying you didn't enjoy it, did not enjoy it,
I'm not
correct?
saying that either.
Well, there can't be a middle ground. You either enjoyed it or you didn't, right?
That's not correct.
Oh, so you can go, in your view, you can go through an act and not enjoy it, but also enjoy it. What are you trying to say?
Am I allowed to tell you what I'm trying to say?
I want to know whether or not you enjoyed it.
I wouldn't characterize it that way.
So you're saying you did not enjoy it? Just want to be
If
clear.
you're speaking only in the context of the Tootsie Pops and the
And
Pop
the Pop
Rocks,
Rocks, sure.
I wouldn't call it enjoyed.
You would not say that you enjoyed it, right?
I would not say enjoyed.
And if we then take a look, though, at exhibit number 458, which references that encounter involving Lonnie, right?
Lonnie, no. You mean,
It didn't involve the baptism involving Lonnie?
I don't understand your
Well,
question.
then let's just take a look at it, okay? We're talking about, irrespective of the date, we've referenced it as Lonnie's baptism, just for point of reference. You remember we talked about that, right?
That's right.
During this encounter that we've been calling Lonnie's baptism, there were some Pop Rocks and Tootsie Pops that were involved, right?
No, Lonnie's baptism did not involve Tootsie Pops and Pop Rocks.
Ma'am, we both know what we're talking about. This journal references Lonnie's baptism, doesn't it?
Yes.
And you missed Lonnie's baptism, right?
Yes.
And the reason you missed Lonnie's baptism is because you were having a Tootsie Pop placed somewhere, right?
Yes, that's one of the reasons.
Okay, and this exhibit here, exhibit number
I feel so sorry for the
58.
court reporter.
does say that you explored every naughty fantasy we could conjure up in our fruitful imaginations that we haven't already fulfilled with one another, right?
Yes.
Finish her.
This doesn't say that you didn't enjoy it, does it?
No,
It does say you did enjoy it, doesn't it?
I don't see the word enjoy in there.
No, did I say the word enjoy was in there?
Yes, you
I
said
did
it
say
said
the
I
word was
enjoyed
enjoy
it.
there? It says you explored every naughty fantasy we could conjure up in our fruitful imaginations. You're saying that having a fruitful imagination, that's not enjoyment, is what you're saying, right?
I'm not saying that.
And you're saying that every naughty fantasy, that's
She's
a
doing
bad thing, right?
exactly
That's what you're
Amber
saying.
Heard did. Well, Amber did what she did.
I'm not saying that.
Well, the Pop Rocks
She's
were
looking
part
right
of
at
this naughty
Every
fantasy,
time
weren't
she
they?
negates
Part
what
of
he
it,
says.
yes.
And they were part of fulfilling your imaginations, right?
His imagination, yes.
Oh, so it wasn't, so even though you wrote it, he didn't write this, did he?
I wrote it.
That's right, and those are your words, right?
Yes.
And so even though you say, haven't already fulfilled with one another, these fruitful imaginations and all of that stuff, well, that doesn't really mean what it says. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that.
Oh
Well,
my God.
it doesn't distinguish
Answer the
between
question.
Pop Rocks and it doesn't distinguish between Tootsie Pops, does it?
No, it doesn't.
And yet you're saying here that they are different, right?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
It's going, what you're saying goes against what's written there, doesn't it?
No,
Doesn't
it does not go against it.
Where? Show me here. Point it out where it says, I
Yep.
did not
I
enjoy
read from
the
it.
Tootsie Pop encounter. Does it say
I
that
didn't
anywhere?
write anything like that in my journal.
It doesn't say anything there like that, does it?
That's correct.
And it doesn't say anything there that you did not enjoy the Pop Rocks encounter, does it?
That's right.
And nothing prevented you from writing that in there, right?
That's right.
And you could have written anything that you wanted. It's not like you didn't have pens, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And you had enough space to write it because we know there was an entry after that, right?
Yes.
And
The
it's a
only answer
situation
is
where you considered this to be a
Yes.
secret kind of thing, so that if you wrote whatever you wanted there, you had a reasonable expectation that it would remain private, right?
Reasonable.
Which means you had an expectation that it would remain private, right?
More hope.
Well, you were living with another individual, I think you said Rachel, correct?
Not at this date.
Okay, where were you living?
I was living at 9634 East Nido Avenue in East Mesa.
Is that an apartment or were you renting a room?
I was renting a room.
And in that room that you rented, you kept this journal, right?
Yes.
So no one really had any authority to go into your room, right?
That's not right.
Well, are you saying that people in that house went through your journal? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that.
So you did have an expectation that your journal would remain private there, right?
While it was at home, yes.
So you're saying that somebody broke in and looked at your journal? Is that what you're saying?
No, because that would be at home.
Well, you kept your journal at home, didn't you?
I took it everywhere with me.
That's what I'm getting everybody.
So what you're saying
All
is
of
if you
you.
went somewhere,
You're all
it could
getting
have fallen
that.
into the wrong hands. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
You never reported to the police that your journal ever went. Anybody ever looked at your journal, correct?
I don't think that's a crime, so no, I didn't.
Well, ma'am, did I ask you if it was a crime?
No, you didn't.
Are you a lawyer? Do you know what a crime is and what isn't?
I have a pretty good idea, but I'm not an attorney.
And so if somebody broke into your house and read your journal, you're saying, you wouldn't report it because you wouldn't think that was a crime, right?
That's right. Not the breaking and entering part, just the reading the journal part.
Oh, so now you're drawing a distinction, but isn't this where this journal was kept most of the time? With you in your home?
No, I misunderstood what you said. My understanding was that you were talking about if somebody was looking in my journal, if I would have reported that. No, I would not have reported somebody reading my journal to the police.
Part of this encounter that you had involving the Tootsie Pops also involved braids, correct?
Yes.
And you have a definite opinion on the braids, don't you?
Yes, I have an opinion.
And you think they're hot, don't you?
I guess.
Well, no, you're the person that knows. We don't want you to guess. You think that the braids are hot, don't you?
I think cute is more appropriate.
Ma'am?
This Amber
Let's
Heard
take a listen
must
then.
have
Have this
literally
work as an exhibit.
read
Part of
this
the conversation that you had with Mr. Alexander back on May 10th of 2008. I'll mark it. I'll have you listen to it to see whether or not that is your voice and whether or not we're talking about the braids. It has not. She's going to lay the foundation for it.
Jury can't hear
You know what I really liked is when we were in the bath with the candles and I had braids.
Yes, there's an objection.
Bubbles. Can I have some top of these?
Oh, I love the braids.
You know what I really liked is when we were in the bath with the candles and I had braids. Some of her bubbles. Can I have some top of these?
Oh, I love the braids.
I know those are hot.
That was your voice, right?
Yes.
Oh, that
You're
wouldn't
talking about braids, right?
Yes.
And you're talking about how much you like them, right?
Yes.
And you're also saying that they're hot, right?
Yes.
And this encounter involving the Pop Rocks and Tootsie Pops also involved braids, right?
Yes.
So you enjoyed those braids, right?
I don't, it's not a yes or no answer.
Well, we did hear you saying that you enjoyed them, right?
Not today,
Do you want to hear it
Satan.
again?
Not today.
No.
You did hear that, right?
I said I like them.
When you say that you like them, isn't it true that that means that if there's something that's enjoyable,
Yes.
right? And you also said that they were hot, right?
Yes.
So during your sexual encounters with Mr. Alexander, if you wore braids, you thought they were hot and you liked them, right?
I liked his attention.
Yes, both hot and liked him.
Restate the question.
When you were with Mr. Alexander, isn't it true? If you wore braids, you liked them.
most days.
Yes.
And with regard to the braids, isn't it true that when you were with Mr. Alexander, you thought the braids were hot?
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm not asking for an okay. I'm asking for you to tell me the truth. What is it that you believe?
I believe that he thought it was hot, so it was hot.
So what you're saying here with regard to exhibit number 460 and that telephone call that was played during your direct examination, you're saying you lied?
No.
Well, you want to listen here when you say that they're hot?
I just heard it.
Right, and it doesn't say
Bianca
anything
Del
about
Rio.
you doing this for Mr.
She's a
Alexander.
drag queen
Anyway,
on
does it?
RuPaul's Drag Race.
No, that's implied.
One of the seasons.
It's implied, let's listen to it and see where it's implied.
Hello, Poppy.
You know what I really liked is when we were in the bath with the candles and I had braids.
Let's play it again.
Some were bubbles. And I was on top of.
Oh, I love the braids.
I know, those are hot.
That's your voice, right?
Yes, and Travis's.
Did I ask you if that was Travis's voice, ma'am?
I didn't know which voice you were talking about.
Did I ask you if that was Travis's voice?
No.
We're talking about your voice. That was your voice, right?
Yes.
And you do say that those braids are hot, right?
Yes.
Play
And
it
you
again.
said it because you believed
Play
it,
it again,
right?
Sam.
Yes.
Cameroon.
These two entries.
I think what's going on here truly is a lot of what defense put up was that she didn't want to do these things, that Travis made her do these things, and that it was very, I don't know. I mean, I guess abusive to a degree. If he's making her do these things, that would imply that there's no consent, right? Which is messed up. And what he's doing is he's taking that apart piece by piece with her own words. So that's what's happening here, I believe. I think. Who knows? I do indeed enjoy this face that I froze on. Well done, Mr. Court Reporter.
That we have here, these journal entries. Exhibit number 456. You start them out by dating them at the upper left-hand corner of each of that one, which is exhibit 456 and 458. You also date it on the upper left-hand corner, or the left-hand corner. Do you see that?
Yes.
And you've already told us that there are no dates in between the Sunday 12008 and Thursday
Good night.
12408, correct?
Correct.
Go.
And you looked at the journal, right?
Yes,
There are no entries between those two dates, right?
that's right.
And it's fair to say that September 22nd of 2008 falls between this gap here, correct?
Correct.
And nowhere do you mention either in this January 24th of 08 or January 20th of 08 document, you don't mention anything about this physical encounter with Mr. Alexander that you told us happened on January 22nd of 2008, do you?
No, I would have never.
I'm not asking if you would ever. Do you mention it there?
I said no.
And with regard to not mentioning it there, nothing stopped you from mentioning it, right?
Yes, something did stop me.
So you're saying that somebody held your hand and stopped you from writing that?
I'm not saying that.
Are you saying that somebody came into your house and stole your journals and said, you know, and took whatever was the journal there took the journal so you couldn't write in it?
I'm not saying that.
You had the ability to write in it, right?
Yes.
You had the free will to write in it, didn't you?
Yes.
And there is nothing there, correct?
Referencing that incident?
Pardon?
Do you mean referencing that incident?
I can't hear what you're saying.
Do you mean referencing that incident? There's nothing there regarding
Right,
that?
there's nothing referencing that incident between those two dates, is there?
There is not.
The reason it's not there is because it didn't happen, right?
That's not right.
That's in case of somebody being called out and guilty about the
In
fact that they
exhibit
lied.
number 456, I haven't written because there has been nothing noteworthy to report, right?
That's right.
So to you, getting this injury to the left ring finger, that's no big deal then, right?
That's not what it
saying?
says.
Pardon?
That's not what it says.
I'm not asking you what it says, I'm asking you what you think. It's no big deal to you then, right? Right?
That's not right.
Well, you came in, you told us about it, right? But it's not written in your journal, right?
No.
You didn't call the police, right?
No.
You didn't get any medical care for it, right?
Not professional medical care.
Ma'am, Did you go to a doctor to get it looked at?
No,
Did you go to a hospital to get it looked at?
no,
Did you go to a friend's house or an acquaintance to tell them about it?
definitely not.
And with regard to the conversation that you had with Detective Flores back on July 16th of 2008, you didn't tell him anything about that, did you?
No, definitely not.
In fact, you gave him a different story, didn't you?
Yes,
You told him something about these two people and how you got that injury to that finger, right?
yes,
So you're saying that what you told the detective there was a lie.
yes.
So you, in your view,
Yes, the
do you
finger of finger.
when do you decide to tell the truth? When you're in this court and no place else? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
No,
It's a single braid.
I mean, just because you're in this court doesn't mean you have to tell the truth. I mean, that's what you're telling us, right?
that's not what I'm telling anyone.
Ma'am, nothing has stopped you from telling this story ever, correct?
That's not correct.
You have free will, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Nothing
Not
the
anymore.
detective did stopped you from telling him, right?
Flores, no.
Nothing stopped, you had a car back then, didn't you?
When?
When this supposedly happened, January 22nd of 08.
Yes,
You could have driven yourself to a hospital, right?
yes,
You could have, do you remember telling us about an incident that occurred in August of 2007 where
Are you
you
talking about the
caught
defense
Mr.
attorney?
Alexander kissing some other girl, right?
yes,
And you told us that, well, with regard to that incident, I called my father, right?
yes,
And you told him some things about what
That's
you
Kirk
had
Nermy,
seen
the
and what had
defense
happened the
attorney.
day before, right?
Oh, are you talking
Yes.
about the guy at the desk?
Nothing would have
prosecution
stopped
desk?
you from calling your father to tell
That's
him that,
Detective
right?
Flores.
well, sorry, I'm kind of hyper literal sometimes.
Yes or no?
Nothing did that day.
Yes or no?
Any
Would
wig is a
anything have
braided
stopped you
wig
from
if you believe in
calling
yourself.
your father?
Maybe, but
Well, ma'am, you didn't have
Now,
any problem calling
one
him in
made
August of
Detective Flores sit with him
2007
the
and
whole
complaining,
trial.
did you?
I did have a problem with it. He had to convince me to tell him.
Well,
Don't know
you
why.
called him and you told him, right?
Eventually, yes, I did.
You called him and you told him, right?
Yes,
You could have called him and said, hey, I got this problem with my finger. You had a telephone, right?
I didn't have a problem with my finger then.
Well, I thought that you told us when you testified that on January 22nd of 2008 was when you had this finger injured by Mr. Alexander. Do you remember telling us that?
Yes, January, yes.
And so in January 22nd of 2008 or anytime thereafter, you had a telephone, right?
Yes,
You could have called your father and could have told him, right?
could have, yes.
But you didn't.
I wouldn't have. No, I did not.
And no one knew about this
Bad
injury
part
or
is
this,
she's got the
this
upper hand, genuine.
supposed or claimed injury to the little finger until after you killed Mr. Alexander, right?
That's right.
Now, that was a significant day, January 22nd of 2008, correct?
Yes,
It was significant for a number of reasons, including the fact that you claimed that on January 21 of 2008,
I'm gonna
you caught
bite
Mr.
my
Alexander
pillow is what I'm gonna
masturbating
do.
to some images of boys, correct?
I only saw one image. It was a boy.
Ma'am, didn't you say that there were images, there were more than one?
There were more than one image. I only caught a
So
quick
was
view
there
of
more
one
than one
image.
image? I'm sorry.
Wait
Was there
for
more
it.
than one image?
Wait for it.
Okay, but you only saw one, right?
One clearly,
According to
yes.
you.
Mhm.
Is that yes?
That's yes.
And that was the day before this supposed thing happened on January, or where he had this violent issue with you on January 22nd of 2008, right?
That's right.
And if we go again to this entry here of 456, I haven't written because there has been nothing noteworthy to report. That's what you wrote, correct?
Correct.
I turned down 4
The way you
offers for
explained it to us
routines.
here, this issue involving this claimed issue involving Mr. Alexander, that's pretty noteworthy, isn't it?
Not for my journal, but
What?
Is it
yes,
noteworthy?
in reality, I guess it is very noteworthy.
It's noteworthy to you, isn't it?
It is today.
1 second.
It's noteworthy to you, isn't it?
I already answered your question.
And the answer is yes or no.
Yes.
And it's so noteworthy to you that you waited until after you killed Mr. Alexander to tell anybody about it, right?
33.
Waited years.
The answer is, did you wait until after this
He was born
prosecution
July 9th,
started, after you were charged,
1980.
to tell anybody about it, correct?
Question asked and answered.
Overruled.
Yes, I waited years.
And ma'am, one of the things that the way you made it sound was that he had a problem, right?
He did have a problem.
That's what you claim, right?
Which means she was 20.
That's the
27 or
reality.
28.
That's what you claim,
Committed the crime.
correct?
Okay, yes.
When back then there was this problem, did you call, for example, the way you made it sound is he had this huge problem. Did you call, for example, Child Protective Service?
No.
I mean, you made it sound that there was such a big problem that he even went and spent the night somewhere at a friend's house and they had a child, and that concerned you. Do you remember telling us that on direct examination?
Yes.
And yet you didn't go to that person and tell him, hey, he's got this issue, did you?
No.
You didn't go to the police department and tell him anything, right?
No.
You chose to keep that allegation until about 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
I think it's almost 3 years ago at this point. No. I think it was almost 3.5, 4 years ago.
She will
Pick a
not
year.
pop
What
a
year
finger.
did you disclose?
2009 was when I first
And
That's not right.
told somebody.
And you were arrested back in July of 2008, right?
Yes.
And when this detective interviewed you, you didn't tell him anything about it, did you?
Definitely not.
And you could have, though, right?
In theory, yes, I could have.
Ma'am, one of the things that happened with regard to this particular issue is that there was a hearing that was scheduled involving this, what time did this allegation happen? When do you claim that, we know the date, what time do you claim that you saw this masturbatory activity?
It would have been in the afternoon after my morning shift.
What?
And what time would that have
Poetic
been?
way to say that.
I don't know the exact time, but it was afternoon well before it was dark. It was still light out.
Okay, can you be more specific? Was it noon?
It was after noon.
All right, was it 2 o'clock?
Objection asked and answered. Sherry says.
Ooh, my.
Restate the question.
If it was so noteworthy, why can't you remember the time?
It was kind of traumatic.
What?
So, what, if, just because weren't your senses heightened at that time that you saw this? Didn't you get angry or upset?
Objection, compound question.
Were you angry?
I was sick to my stomach.
Ma'am, were you
I was not
angry?
angry.
It's a yes or no. It's a yes
you
or
angry?
no.
I became angry later, but not in that moment.
Were you angry at that time,
Amber
ma'am?
Heard.
I said not in that moment.
Amber
So the
Heard.
answer is no, right?
Yes.
Were you upset at that time?
Yes.
So if you're upset, aren't you kind of, your senses heightened at that time to know the time?
The only way she can hit the target.
Objection, she said answer the question.
Can you repeat that?
Weren't your senses heightened because of this anger to at least know the time so somebody could check it out?
God.
Well, you said because of anger, but I wasn't angry at that moment.
Y'all,
Well, then
if Johnny Depp was
You
sitting
see
at the
this?
desk, this would be Amber
you're not
Heard.
angry and you're not upset, right?
I am upset.
Oh, you are upset. If
Tells
you're
you
upset,
way more about Amber Heard.
don't you think that that would have heightened your senses over what you just saw?
My mind doesn't work like that.
So the answer is no then, right?
Objection asked and answered.
It kind of moved in slow motion, so if that's heightened,
Is it yes or no, ma'am?
Like, it's more like if you put
it's
Fraser
kind of a matter of opinion.
in a ring with
I don't
Jack
know.
Black.
And I'm
And I
asking for
love
your
Jack
opinion.
Black.
Again, asked and answered.
But
She can't speculate.
skill-wise boxing,
Overruled.
this is how I feel.
Whether it's heightened, my perception of things, is that your question?
Right. At that time when you're viewing this, the way you described this, bad act.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, it's something I'm never going to forget, but I wish I could.
You're never going to forget it. That's what you just said, right?
That's right.
But you have forgotten the time.
I know it was the afternoon.
Ma'am, I'm asking you for the time.
Objection, Ms. Arias' testimony. She said she doesn't know the time.
Restate your question, sustained.
You said that you'll
might
never
have won
forget it, right?
internet
The
tonight,
incident.
along with
Right.
all of Dean's stuff.
And I'm asking you, isn't it
That was
true
the case.
that you forgot the time?
Objection again, in Ms. Arias' testimony. She said she never knew the time.
Sustained, rephrase.
You said that you had just been out from Mimi's Cafe, right?
For a little while.
Pardon?
For a little while. I was off work for a little while.
You worked at Mimi's Cafe, right?
Yes.
You had been working that day, right?
Yes.
Your shift was over, right?
Yes.
What time did your shift start?
It varied.
That day, what time did your shift start?
In the morning.
What time?
Sometime in the morning. I don't know the exact time.
You don't know the exact time, yet you knew that you had to be there on that day at a certain
Yes.
time? What time does Mimi's open?
I've never opened Mimi, so I'm not sure, but they open early.
So you don't know the time that it opens, you don't know the time that you went to work, right?
Not the exact time.
Just the morning is what you can give us, right?
Yes, early morning.
So if you went at 10 o'clock, 10 to 12 would only be 2 hours, right?
That's right.
Was it an 8-hour shift, ma'am?
No, they aren't 8-hour shifts.
So on that day, it was not an 8-hour shift, right?
That's right.
How many hours was your shift?
It depended on the flow of business.
I understand that it may depend on that. How many hours did you work on January 21 of 2008 on this day that this horrible thing you claim happened?
I would only be able to tell you a range.
I remembered my lie.
How many hours then? Give me a range. Since what you're telling me is you don't know.
I know the range, but not the exact hours.
So you're telling me you don't know the exact hours,
Yes.
right? And anything else that you would give me would be a guess, right?
Yes.
And ma'am, do you have, I mean, you had a lot of memory for a lot of events involving sexual instances with Mr. Alexander, yet you seem to be having problems with your memory here today. And you also alluded to a little bit that you have problems with your memory. Is this a long-standing thing that you've had problems with your memory, or is this just something that happened recently?
Compound question.
Sustained.
Your problems with your memory, is it of recent vintage?
Define recent.
I don't
Oh
know,
my
since you
God.
started testifying.
No, it goes back further than that.
How long does it, far back does it go?
I don't even know if I'd call it a problem.
I lost.
Well, just tell me
complete
how
track
far
of
back
time
it goes. You said
doing
you were going to
this.
tell me, so tell me, please.
We're gonna find a good spot to
How
put a
far back
pause
what
and
goes?
continue on next time.
We're talking about your memory problem, right?
I don't know that I'd really call it a problem.
Okay.
I just I don't remember every single thing that's ever happened to me in my whole life.
Ma'am, your memory issues, we're talking about those, right?
I wouldn't even call them issues, but okay, my memory.
Well, you don't want to call them problems, right?
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to call them issues, right?
I don't know. I really
Right, you don't want to call them issues. You just told me that, right?
I didn't say I don't want to.
All right, so can we call them issues then?
Okay.
I think that's a good spot. Oh my gosh, y'all. First off, I'd like to ask for a raise for the court reporter, because at no point did the judge say slow down at all. He was like the senior or lead court reporter, I think. If I found that info right, I can't remember what the actual like title is. So I mean, maybe he was just really fast at typing stuff. So, you know, but I'd like to give him all the credit in the world. Good for him, because I truly the judge should have said slow the hell down, right? But here we are. Wow. Wow. Glad everybody or most people, I think it was about 98% in my non-mathing abilities, said go ahead and move on to cross. We really needed this, I think. And it will continue. It will continue Friday, and I'm guessing into Monday, maybe into the beginning of Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see. So yeah. I don't like to do that adulting thing. It's no fun. Also this, I would fail miserably. Yes, huge shout out to Buffy Bot and Captain. You guys were great. Wonderful, wonderful job. Thanks to Amos and everybody else who helped out to kind of work through the training and everything. Great job. Send love to mods. All the love goes to the mods. Brandi wasn't kidding. We could not do this without them. They are amazing. All of them are phenomenal. We love them so much. So thank you for joining the team. We're probably going to do another round of applications and interviews too. And that thing, the application's always open. Just know that if you apply now, it may be just a little bit of time before we kind of do another round. We need to take a breath from all of that. Shout out Angie is one of them. Rock on. All right. So thank you so much. Dean, thank you for your Jodi Arias one-liners. There is nobody who writes one-liners as quickly and perfectly as you do, sir. I'm so glad you're here. I truly am, and spend time with us. Thank you all for joining tonight. I know that tonight was a lot of it was a lot of
Alrighty then.
and
You can't handle the truth.
with a little bit of
No, it wasn't me. It was the one-armed man.
but we made it through. So hop in your portals and doggone it, head to bed. And thank you. So remember, tomorrow's closing statements for Smelly Melly. We're still calling him that, right? And those are going to be, I believe the stream's starting at 8:45 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. And then Friday, I believe Brandi said she was doing a Choose Your Own Adventure. And then Friday night is Night Court again. And I will see what I can do about tossing out another sidebar. If you haven't seen the most recent sidebar about Sarah Payne and Crimes That Changed Laws, you can check that out in our sidebar playlist on YouTube. Let us know what you think about it. So far, we've had overwhelmingly positive comments about it. Shireen did a great job researching and writing. It was awesome. It made it really easy for me to put everything together, and that was fantastic. It's very nice to have that. I think we're still finishing up and finalizing the next script. I have one on deck, so it'll either be one that Shireen's working on, or it'll be my previous script that I've written for Shayna Hubers. Both of the cases have been suggested before, so I'm excited about that. And well, yeah. So there's a lot going on, everybody. And shameless plug, you can check out any new episodes from like Brew Crime, Active Shooter, and True Crime and Wine Time as well. Those are podcasts available everywhere. I think every single one of those has a new episode this week, because I do that too, because I'm crazy and insane. Anyways, I'm not going to keep you up any longer. Yes, it is very super inappropriate, all of it. So thank you very much. Don't get too
Spicy.
and everything will be fine, right? So please, like I said about halfway through, take care of yourself and take care of your friends and family, and don't forget to smile. That's really important. Don't fake it. Don't fake it, but give yourself a smile in the mirror every now and again. All right. Court is adjourned. Thank you for showing up. And I will see you on Friday. Brandi will see you tomorrow. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. I couldn't ask for a better crew. So thank you so much. And I will see you soon. Bye.